I'm cultivating immortality with the science of mortals. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 76 Chaos. So that's how it is. I just wanted to act like I only cared about the monster egg, but I didn't realize that I was using too much force. Thank you, junior brother you, for clearing my doubts. As a reward, I won't destroy your soul. ZHU Sans Hong smiled coldly, drove the steel back pig to get up from the ground, and rumbled towards junior brother you. Hurry. Junior brother you once again offered the red flame net to block in front of him. Haha, junior brother you, don't use your rubbish magic weapon to embarrass yourself. If you die obediently, you can still have some dignity. ZHU Sans Hong laughed at the power of the red flame net without hiding it. This magic weapon couldn't even trap the golden light eagle that was restrained by it for a moment, so how could it deal with the earth type steel back pig? However, what ZHU Sans Hong didn't expect was that after the steel back pig plunged into the red flame net, it didn't rush out as he expected, but was wrapped up like a dumpling, screaming. After receiving the feedback from the spirit beast, ZHU Sans Hong's confident smile suddenly sank, and he stared at junior brother you with great fear and said, "You were deliberately showing weakness before. If I don't show weakness, how can I force senior brother to use that high level talisman? And how can senior brother chat with me for so long, so that I can wake up the sleeping spirit beast?" Junior brother you smiled ferociously, and two fire snakes with red background and black spots slowly swam out from the cuffs of his arms. He pinched the snake's head with both hands and drove the fire snake to spray out two pillars of fire about a foot thick, trying to burn the steel back pig trapped in the red flame net to death. Junior brother Yu's two fire snakes were injured in a fight with a male disciple of Yanyu sect before joining ZHU Hao and the others, so they fell into a deep sleep. After he found something wrong, he fed the fire snakes 2 pills to wake them up forcibly. This move obviously has endless troubles, but at the critical moment of life and death, he couldn't care about the future. Although the fire snake is only a mid-level spiritual beast, it is enough to cause fatal damage to the steel back pig when combined with the red flame net. ZHU Sans Hong certainly couldn't watch his precious spiritual beast being burned to death, so he used his magic weapon to try to save Zao from Wei. Suddenly, a strange manna burst out from the side, and then lightning struck the small shield of junior brother Yu, followed by several 5-element spells shooting at him. Even with the protection of a high-level magic weapon, junior brother Yu didn't dare to take so many attacks in one breath, so he had to interrupt the fire snake's spitting and dodge. "Who is it?" Junior brother Yu was furious. He was about to succeed, but someone intervened. You know, his fire snake's injury is worrying, and it can't hold on for too long. ZHU Sans Hong was a little confused. He was not attacked, so when he noticed the difference in spiritual energy, he immediately saw that the attackers were Han Yunzi and others. For a moment, he didn't know whether to rescue junior brother Yu or let them kill him. While ZHU Sans Hong was hesitating, Han Yunzi and the other two continued to launch a fierce attack on junior brother Yu. "Quick! Rescue the golden eagle in the net, so we can have more helpers." The little Taoist priest looked nervous and kept casting thunder magic with the help of talisman paper. The momentum was great, but the power seemed not great. Apart from making the lightning flash on junior brother Yu's red scaled shield, it had no practical effect. "Damn it, when did I offend them? They only chased me." Junior brother Yu complained in his heart. Facing the siege of 3 people, he could no longer maintain the mana consumption of the red flame net. The steel back pig had already shown signs of breaking free. "Brother ZHU, if you keep watching from the other side, you will be the next to die. Since it will break free sooner or later, it is better to take it back actively, which can also save some mana." Junior brother Yu took the initiative to release the steel back pig in the red flame net and shouted anxiously, "HMPH. You don't need to remind me." ZHU Sans Hong flicked his thick fingers and ejected a pill that could stimulate the potential of spirit beasts into the mouth of the steel back pig. Then he took out a small black bottle and used the poisonous mist from it to surround himself. "Why isn't there a golden eagle in the net?" Han Yangtze and the other two were stunned, and the little Taoist priest was completely dumbfounded. The three people who didn't understand the situation stopped their attacks at the same time. ZHUU and the other two were eager to have time to recover their magic power, so they didn't take action at the moment. The situation suddenly became weirdly deadlocked. It's really confusing. Luo Hong in the dark was almost amused by Han Yangtze and the other two. Among so many people present, only he knew the cause and effect of the matter. When the little Taoist priest spied on ZHU Sans Hong's angry high-level talisman to kill the female eagle, he thought the time had come and wanted to use the angry male eagle to distract him and attack the three people. But because his spying skills were too inferior, he had to concentrate and use spells to be effective. So on the way to the top, he missed Hao Jin's quick killing of the male eagle and the change of ZHUU and the other two. As a result, when they arrived, they mistakenly thought that it was the male eagle trapped in the red flame net, and then made a series of wrong judgments. Although there was a coincidence factor, no matter what, they should not have noticed the body on the ground. Moreover, the little Taoist priest and the yellow-shirted woman were inexplicably nervous when they attacked, and it seemed that they didn't even have much experience in fighting in a competitive nature. In the words of Mr. Luzon, they were just picky. Han Yangtze was fine. She had her own difficulties, but Luo Hong was very curious about what kind of mentality the other two had to participate in this trial full of ruthless people. My previous worries were unnecessary. With these two, I'm afraid Ziohei can deal with them alone, and he will be the kind of person who can do it quickly and efficiently. After a brief stalemate, the two sides didn't waste any words. ZHUU and the other two joined forces again, each using their own means to attack the yellow-shirted woman. There was no other reason, just because she looked the weakest. After taking the elixir, the steel-backed pig charged forward with a burning smell and became even more ferocious after being injured. Attacks were coming from the sky and the ground, and the yellow-shirted woman was panicked and took a step back with a pale face. At this time, the young Taoist gritted his teeth and stood in front of the yellow-shirted woman, offering a high-level Bagua plate magic weapon for defense. Ziohei pounced on the back of the steel-backed pig from the side, facing its back neck, and opened his mouth to bite it off. The steel-backed pig immediately displayed its innate magical power, and a yellow spiritual light attached to its back. Now even the top-level monsters can't easily break through the defense of its back. However, Han Yangtze was able to rely on Ziohei to make a name for herself in the Spirit Beast Mountain, which is famous for driving spirit beasts. There must be a reason for this. Ziohei's sharp teeth treated the yellow spiritual light as nothing, and bit the steel-backed pig's back neck firmly, and the bite went deep into the flesh. Instantly, Ziohei's eyes turned red, and the flesh around the bitten steel-backed pig shrank rapidly, and its blood was being devoured by Ziohei. The brothers and sisters in the Spiritual Beast Mountain who were much more powerful than Han Yangtze kept their distance from Han Yangtze, because Ziohei was very effective in dealing with spirit beasts. If they were bitten by it, no matter what kind of spirit beast it was, they would be seriously injured. With two booms, two pillars of fire brushed against Ziohei and burned in the air. Junior brother, you actually rescued the steel-backed pig that he had just wanted to burn into charcoal. This shows how impermanent things are and how unpredictable people's hearts are. Chapter 77 1 verses 5. Although Ziohei suppressed the steel-backed beast, the combination of ZHU Sanchang and junior brother Yu still made Han Yangtze and the other two slightly defeated. But this was only temporary. After all, the two of them had fought a big battle with two golden eagles before, and their mana was consumed a lot. If they continued to fight, they would be the only ones to die. Both of them realized this and couldn't help but want to retreat. Of course, before leaving, it would be best to take away the most valuable treasure here. So, the two of them turned their eyes to the nest of the golden eagle at the same time, but the scene they saw shocked them. They saw that a disciple of Huangfeng Valley wearing yellow clothes and an iron mask appeared in the nest without anyone noticing, and was leisurely looking at the golden egg in his hand, completely ignoring the 5 people who were fighting for life and death. The strangeness of ZHUU and the other two made Han Yangtze and the others discover Luo Hong belatedly. Both sides stopped again because of Luo Hong's appearance. The yellow-shirted woman saw who was coming and immediately grabbed the hand of the little Taoist priest, trembling slightly and retreating. That was the sect's elite disciple who was highly expected by the master in the giant on stage. I'm afraid that brother Zhao and I will die here today. The yellow-shirted woman looked miserable, and she didn't feel relieved at all, because Luo Hong was her fellow disciple. From this point of view, she had a deep understanding of the cruelty of the bloody trial. Luo Hong actually wanted to end this battle that seemed to be a fight between chickens, but he thought that collecting some battle data of ordinary trial disciples would be beneficial to his big plan, so he patiently observed for a while. ZHUU and the other two had many hidden means, but none of them could play a decisive role. Among the 5 people, only Han Yunzi had a top-level magic weapon, and the magic he cast was also very basic and lacked changes. Feeling that there was nothing to collect, Luo Hong flashed to the nest of the golden eagle and picked up a monster egg that looked like gold. The egg was golden all over, and the egg wall was extremely thin. The golden eagle embryo inside could almost be seen with the naked eye. No wonder the golden eagle couple didn't take this egg with them to escape. The egg wall is so thin that it will break if it is slightly bumped. Luo Hong didn't have a spirit beast bag, so he took Haojin's egg in his hand, wiped off the remaining consciousness on it, and took it for himself. The poisonous fire bees inside had fallen into a deep sleep, so there was no need to worry that they would destroy the monster egg. Luo Hong put the golden egg in it with confidence. When he looked up, he happened to meet a pair of extremely angry eyes. ZHU Sans Hong spent a lot of effort and made so many arrangements. Now his inherited monster beast is about to die in the battle, and the golden eagle monster egg he had planned has fallen into the hands of others. How can he accept this? Although the senior brother has a high level of cultivation, he is a little too arrogant to fight 5 people alone. ZHU Sans Hong still thought that Han Yunzi and the others also came for the golden eagle. In the current situation, they are his natural allies. Zuo doesn't think so, Luo Hong said lightly. ZHU Sans Hong's heart skipped a beat. He widened his eyes with an unprecedented sense of crisis. But before he could make any move, his eyebrows suddenly itched, and his eyelids began to droop uncontrollably. Before he lost consciousness, ZHU Sans Hong only heard a pop sound. What happened? Did he do it? And Kingsley was too fast. The remaining 4 people only heard the sound of the explosion, but didn't know what Luo Hong did specifically. It was not until ZHU Sans Hong's breath disappeared quickly that they were surprised to find that someone had been killed by the iron-faced man. The faces of the 4 people turned extremely pale. The little Taoist priest and the yellow-shirted woman were even more frightened. They were stiff and couldn't help but hold each other's hands tightly. This fat senior brother is so difficult to deal with. I fought with him for so long and couldn't take him down, but that person was able to kill him instantly. He is so powerful. Han Yunzi bit her red lips tightly and stared at ZHU Sans Hong's storage bag, hesitating whether to let Zio Heli take it and run away. Junior brother Yu was standing not far from ZHU San Chang. The moment Luo Hong attacked, he also sensed the fatal threat. The spiritual sense of a cultivator urged him to flee. Therefore, after realizing that ZHU San Chang was dead, junior brother Yu dug out one of his eyes without hesitation and crushed it. It turned out that junior brother Yu's frightening protruding eyeball was actually a disguise of a strange spirit beast, and he actually had a face with deep eye sockets. After the eyeball exploded, a white poisonous mist spread out, covering junior brother Yu's figure. Luo Hong felt that his eyes were strange from a distance and quickly threw out a wind talisman to blow away the poisonous mist. Junior brother Yu took the opportunity to sacrifice a flying magic weapon. When the mist dissipated, he had already flown into the air and quickly flew away. In fact, at this time, Luo Hong wanted to kill him, but it was just a matter of a dark green seed. But just like Han Shianaya, Luo Hong chose to let him go. Killing ZHU San Chang was just because he didn't want to be entangled by him. As a result, only Luo Hong and Han Yunzi were left on the peak, and the situation became clear immediately. Now, Zio Heli. While senior brother bulging eyes attracted the iron-faced man's attention, Han Yunzi asked Zio Heli to sneak near ZHU Sans Hong's body, intending to snatch the storage bag and run away. Originally, her plan was successful. Zhao was so fast that even Luo Hong could not stop him in time. However, after Zhao grabbed Zhu San's Hong's storage bag, he did not run away immediately after Han Yun's order, but stopped and sniffed twice. Then, he walked briskly to Luo Hong and sat down, staring at Luo Hong's mask. Zhao, come back quickly. Han Yunzi was very anxious, mistakenly thinking that the iron-faced man had cast a spell to confuse Zhao mind. This stupid dog, he won't recognize me, right? Luo Hong also used powder to deal with her own smell, but it was obviously useless in front of Zhao super sense of smell. As if he had completely confirmed Luo Hong's identity, Zhao tilted his head, opened his mouth, stuck out his tongue foolishly, and shouted twice in joy, completely ignoring the storage bag that Han Yunzi asked him to pick up. Han Yunzi grew up with Zhao since childhood, so she could naturally feel the emotions conveyed in his shouting. She was stunned for a moment, then carefully looked at the figure of the iron-faced man, and compared it with the familiar person in her memory. Ah, that's right. The only person who could make Zhao lose his composure like this was the one who had saved him. Before the joy on Han Yun's face completely emerged, the iron-faced man coughed, and said in a deep voice, I'm Zuo Bufan. I want to take the monster egg away. Do you have any objection? Brother, take it away. We have no complaints. The little Taoist rushed to answer, as if this would hold his life in his own hands. Brother, please let us go for the sake of our common origin. The yellow-shirted woman had tears in her eyes, as if she would cry the next moment, if Luo Hong didn't agree. Brother from Huangfeng Valley, may I ask, if there is a scorching sunflower in the storage bag? If so, I'm willing to exchange it for it. Han Yunzi took out 2 white monster eggs, which were exactly the Dan spider eggs, but the burning blood secret pattern was no longer on them. Luo Hong's eyes lit up. Well done, Miss Han. Chapter 78 Deal and Break Up. Junior sister, don't joke around. Are you going to die? The yellow-shirted woman pulled Han Yun's sleeve and said anxiously. She could see clearly that there was almost no spiritual energy on the 2 monster eggs. They were of the lowest level. Trading such things with others was simply humiliating the other party. Moreover, where did the scorching sunflower come from? Luo Hong subconsciously probed his spiritual sense into the storage bag, and actually found a scorching sunflower. It should be picked by Zhu San's Hong outside the forbidden area. Yes, but I'm afraid junior sister will be disappointed. A white light flashed, and a scorching sunflower appeared in Luo Hong's palm. Han Yun's face just showed joy, and her brows couldn't help but frowned. Then she sighed and said, it turned out to be a scorching sunflower that was more than 100 years old. I need at least 300 years. But let's trade it. If we can't find a suitable one, we can try it with it. Okay, junior sister, take it. The two threw the traded items to each other at the same time. The yellow-shirted woman stared at this extremely unequal transaction in amazement, which was reached so easily. She couldn't help but feel that the iron-faced man was an easygoing senior brother. My junior sister's spirit beast is stupid, but I don't like it. The spell has been lifted. You can take it back. Luo Hong touched the dog's head and pretended to lift the spell. Han Yunzi blushed. Zhao was really stupid sometimes, and her owner often felt embarrassed. Seeing that Han Yunzi still liked to blush like before, Luo Hong couldn't help but smile, and her heart was slightly warmed. It can actually control the spirit beast with an owner. What a terrible spell. The little Taoist didn't dare to raise his head. He just felt that the iron-faced man was unfathomable, and he was definitely not his opponent. Thank you for your help, senior brother. Can we leave? Although Han Yunzi didn't know why senior brother Luo changed his name and surname to hide his identity, she was very smart to cooperate with him in acting. You two junior sisters can go, but this junior brother has to stay. As soon as Luo Hong said this, the young Taoist priest and the yellow-shirted woman felt cold at the same time. If senior brother Zhao has offended you, I'm willing to make amends for him. Please let him go. The yellow-shirted woman pulled the childish young Taoist priest behind her, begging him with a protective look. Junior sister, please don't be like this. I'm responsible for my own actions. You and junior sister Han should go. The young Taoist priest looked childish, but he had some manly responsibilities. He immediately pulled the yellow-shirted woman who refused to obey. "You two are acting like Kanye here." Luo Hong's eyebrows jumped, and he said with some displeasure, "Little Taoist priest, do you want that spiritual medicine? Can we make a deal?" The only spiritual medicine on the top of the peak was the copper juice fruit that was 200 or 300 years old. Luo Hong was referring to it. "Trade? Great. What do you want, brother?" The young Taoist priest was overjoyed. The copper juice fruit was exactly what he was looking for. He had reluctantly given up on it, but he didn't expect that there would be another chance to trade. "Just give me this bird." Luo Hong pointed at the yellow-winged bird that was grooming its wings on the treetop. "Haha, I really can't hide it from you, brother." The young Taoist priest's forehead was slightly sweaty. He immediately understood that the iron-faced man had been secretly observing them. "I was originally smug because I was a yellow bird, but I didn't expect that there was already a bird hunter waiting under the tree with a bow. The world of immortal cultivation outside the family insect is so dangerous. I was really too arrogant this time." The young Taoist priest took out the spiritual card, recited a few spells, and after removing the mark of his own consciousness, he threw the card to Luo Hong. "This is the magic weapon to control the yellow-winged bird. Senior brother only needs to make a little sacrifice and you can drive the yellow-winged bird freely." The young Taoist priest was not afraid that the iron-faced man would suddenly turn hostile after getting the spiritual tablet. The other party could have threatened him with the lives of 3 people and forced him to hand over the spiritual tablet, but he chose to use the transaction method. He must not be a sinister and mean person, but he would not naively think that the other party was a kind-hearted person like Junior Sister Han. The iron-faced man was very principled in his actions, which could be seen from his actions of killing the 2 people in the Spirit Beast Mountain. In short, if you do things according to the iron-faced man's wishes, he will be a gentle and reasonable person, and will even generously give some benefits. On the contrary, he will let those who disobey him know what it means to kill decisively. After receiving the spiritual tablet, Luo Hong tried it. As the young Taoist priest said, he easily became the new owner of the yellow-winged bird. "You are really simple-minded. I just tried the copper juice fruit and your expression changed immediately. You wanted to write 'I came here for it' on your face." The copper juice fruit is a rare spiritual medicine, but Luo Hong knows that it is one of the main ingredients for refining the white lotus pill. In addition, his surname is Zhao, so Luo Hong immediately knew the identity of the young Taoist priest. Calling the yellow-winged bird to his shoulder, Luo Hong left, leaving a message before leaving. "Junior sister is weak, so you should retreat to the outer edge of the forbidden area. It doesn't matter if you can't collect spiritual medicine. I will explain the situation to elderly. Since you have practiced the secret method of your Zhao family, I will take care of your descendants of the Zhao family." After Luo Hong had left for a long time, the young Taoist priest went forward to pick the copper juice fruit. After finishing the task, he walked to Han Yunsky, bowed and said, "Junior Sister Han, thanks to you this time, Junior Sister Ki, and I hardly helped at all during the battle, and the bodies of the 2 golden eagles all belong to Junior Sister Han." This was originally the apology prepared by the young Taoist priest after Han Yunsky found that there were no scorching sunflowers here, so he gave it to her without hesitation. "Then I will be disrespectful." Han Yunsky happily collected the materials on the golden eagle and then let Zhao devour the essence and blood of the 2 eagles. This is a great tonic for it. After a while of busy work, Han Yunsky found that the young Taoist priest and senior sister Ki were standing behind her a little uneasy, and they wanted to say something several times but stopped. "You two, are you not going to go with me to collect herbs?" Han Yunsky was also a smart person. Naturally, she could see that the young Taoist priest attached too much importance to the copper juice fruit and guessed that it was the main purpose of his trip to the forbidden area. To be honest, the blood forbidden land is much more dangerous than Sister Ki and I expected. Brother Zuo is right. With our strength, we can only hide outside to have a chance to get out alive. When the young Taoist priest first teamed up with Han Yunsky, he was also greedy, thinking that with the strength of the 3 of them, they could protect themselves in the forbidden area. But after seeing Zuo Bufan's strength, he realized that for those truly top trial disciples, the number advantage of ordinary trialists like them was equivalent to nothing. The difference between 1 instant kill and 3 instant kills is just one more blink of an eye. I'm sorry, junior sister Han. I'm so scared now. If we had been a little bit less lucky, we would have died several times just now. The yellow-shirted woman was older than Han Yunsky, but she was much more delicate than Han Yunsky. At this time, she covered her chest with tears in her eyes. She participated in the bloody trial completely because of impulse. And the reason for the impulse was obvious. Chapter 79, Light Rain Caveray. Watching the two leave, Han Yunsky sighed. She knew her own limitations. Although she had Zio Hei to help her, she was no match for the top trial disciples from the 7 sects. It might not be a problem to escape, but it would be difficult to take the elixir from them. She was willing to bring 2 weaker trialists with her, because she wanted to use the number of people to prevent the strong people she feared from easily provoking her, so that she could pick the scorching sunflower. Otherwise, even if Han Yunsky was kind-hearted, she would not bring 2 burdens with her. Zio Hei, Zio Bei, we are the only ones left. We must pick the scorching sunflower, otherwise my brother will die. Han Yunsky was shaken by the retreat of the little Taoist priest and the yellow-shirted woman, so she touched the heads of the eagle and the beast and encouraged herself. Roar, Zio Hei shouted in the direction of Luo Hong's departure, obviously wanting Han Yunsky to follow. No, Zio Hei. Senior brother Luo is hiding his identity so much, he must have something important to do. We owe senior brother Luo too much, we can't cause him trouble at this time. Now, we can only go to the place marked with the fiery sunflower on the map to take risks. The Forbidden Area map distributed at the foot of the Spiritual Beast Mountain is slightly different from that of the other 6 major sects, so those places marked with spiritual medicines are often the center of competition among the trial disciples. Going to those places to collect medicines, 9 out of 10 will run into other trial disciples, and then it will be inevitable that there will be another fierce fight. The stone house in the mountain is here. Zio Hei and Zio Bei, let's go. Han Yunsky asked the white young eagle to be on guard in the air, and she took Zio Hei to move quickly in the mountains and forests. In the swoosh sound of the wind, Luo Hong stepped on the Jianghu Kingang, relying on his great strength, and ran quickly on the ground. He encountered many low and medium level monsters along the way, but Luo Hong did not stop, because most of these monsters could not catch up with him at his speed. Moreover, the monsters have a strong sense of territory. Those monsters that could barely keep up also chose to give up after chasing for a while. Luo Hong was in such a hurry that he did not go deep into the central area, but turned back to the stone wall, passed through the bronze gate, and came to the outer edge of the forbidden area again. Little guy, fly around this wall, stop and rest for an hour. When you see such a gate, repeat this 3 times and come back. Do you understand? Luo Hong held the yellow-winged bird in his right palm, so that it could see the bronze gate clearly, and said with expectation. There is a bronze gate in each of the 4 directions of the stone wall of the forbidden area, east, west, south, and north, and there are ancient texts on them. If the previous guess is correct, the ancient texts on these 4 bronze gates were left by the senior of the Xianfu sect to break the ban, and they should be a set. If they can be collected, it will provide great help to Luo Hong in deciphering the mystery of the ancient texts. However, Luo Hong had other important things in the forbidden area, and the stone wall was very long, so he couldn't spend all his time on the road, so he wanted to seize the yellow-winged bird. After seeing the little Taoist priest, the yellow-winged bird pecked at Luo Hong's palm 3 times, obviously understanding the order. Very good, I'll give you half a yellow dragon pill as a reward. Luo Hong raised his right palm and let the yellow-winged bird fly away, then continued to move towards the outer edge of the forbidden area. A few hours later, Luo Hong came to a low grassland surrounded by woodland. This place was ordinary and unremarkable, and one could tell the truth at a glance. There were no monsters, no spiritual medicines, and no ambush by the disciples of the 7 sects. After unfolding the map, to confirm the direction again, Luo Hong took out a bunch of small flags from the storage bag. After reciting a few spells, these small flags turned into streams of light and flew to different directions. After the formation flags were in place, Luo Hong took out a formation plate with 3 grooves, inlaid 3 mid-level water spirit stones into it, and fiddled with it again, so that it could be connected to the formation flags. At this time, the formation was considered to be arranged. Although 3 mid-level spirit stones, each equivalent to 100 low-level spirit stones, were used to drive the formation, there was no big movement when the formation was completed. In addition to the obvious fluctuations of spiritual energy at the formation plate, the formation flags gradually disappeared into thin air, and Luo Hong's spiritual sense at the first level could not detect them. As soon as the formation was completed, a light rain began to fall from the sky. Luo Hong closed his eyes and released his spiritual sense. In an instant, the distance of the spiritual sense exceeded the limit of 1 mile and doubled directly, which was exactly the range of the formation. Okay, the skills of the Xianxing sect are indeed extraordinary. This light rain and cave formation completely meets my requirements. It's worth it for me to ask Zhang Weiniang for help. The light rain and cave formation was a formation specially customized by Luo Hong for his big plan in the Blood Forbidden Land. It is already a foundation building level formation, and is very valuable. It can spread the spiritual sense of the cultivator at the center of the formation to every corner within the range of the formation, and can absorb the water spiritual energy between heaven and earth and turn it into spiritual rain. It was just a drizzle at the moment, but as time went by, the water spirit in the formation would become more and more dense, and after a day it would reach the level of a drizzle. At that time, the master of the formation could use the magical power of the formation to cast an endless water shield on himself. Although its defense level was only 50% higher than that of the primary and intermediate spiritual water shield, it was endless, and did not consume Luo Hong's mana, which was enough for him to ignore most attacks during the siege. Next, just wait quietly for the passage to open. It's not as comfortable as collecting tolls to collect spiritual herbs. Master, you'll win this bet. It turned out that this ordinary grassland in the forest was the exit of the bloody Forbidden Land. Unlike being teleported to various places in the Forbidden Land when entering, the exit passage was fixed in one place, so in every previous bloody trial, the last stage of leaving the Forbidden Land was one of the stages with the heaviest casualties among the trialists. Luo Hong set up the formation here to collect tolls from every trialist who wanted to leave the Forbidden Area. The toll was naturally the spiritual medicine they collected in the Forbidden Area. This was the fundamental reason why he had let Han Xian'er and Yu Jr. brother go before. He didn't care who he made enemies with, because in the end, every trialist who came to him alive would hate him. And for him, the more trialists who could collect the spiritual medicine alive, the better. Of course, all this was done by Zuo Bufan, and Luo Hong had nothing to do with a single spiritual stone. This move seemed crazy, and seemed to be no different from seeking death. But in fact the risk was extremely low. After 5 days of fierce fighting in the Forbidden Area, every surviving trialist would be more or less tired, and the various means and trump cards prepared before entering the Forbidden Area would definitely not be left. Therefore, although there was a high probability of being besieged, Luo Hong was really not in vain. Moreover, even if an accident occurred, and Luo Hong was defeated, there was a return passage behind him. At worst, he could abandon the formation and escape into the passage. When he left the Forbidden Area, Li Huoyuan would protect him. Due to the blood trial rules jointly formulated by the 7 sects, the giant and elders of the other 6 sects had no excuse to blame him. After confirming once again whether there were any omissions, Luo Hong was about to meditate and concentrate when the spiritual tablet on his waist moved. The yellow-winged bird had arrived at the bronze gate on the west side of the stone wall. Chapter 80, Thousands of troops avoid the yellow robe. Luo Hong's face lit up, and he quickly chanted a spell to connect the perspective of the yellow-winged bird. A bronze gate and the ancient text on it immediately came into view. After a rough look, Luo Hong found that among the more than 100 ancient texts on this bronze gate, 90% were repeated from before, and only the last 10 or so ancient texts were different, which basically proved his previous set of theories. Now there was no time to think about it. Luo Hong immediately picked up a pen to copy the more than 10 new ancient texts. As the Wei Yu Dongming formation slowly took shape, time came to the 4th day after the trial began. At this time, the ordinary trialists who were in the way in the circular mountain range in the central area had almost all been killed by the elite disciples of each faction, and then there was a fight between these elite disciples. On the ridge of a peak in the circular mountain range, 4 trialists were divided into 2 factions, driving their own magic weapons, and fighting next to a stone house. One of them was a man and a woman. They were disciples of Huangfeng Valley, and they were Chen Kaioqian and his sister. Chen Fangsheng is the eldest brother of the younger generation of the Chen family. He is in his 40s this year. He has a bookish look on his face. He holds a silver shining giant pen and a golden book in his hands, which are a set of top-level magic tools. With a wave of his hand, the sky and the earth are full of silver and golden light, killing the 2 people on the opposite side, sweating profusely and turning blue. Although Chen Kaioqian also tried her best to drive the magic tool to attack, her strength was much worse than her eldest brother and the 2 people on the opposite side. Not to mention helping, she was regarded as a breakthrough point by the enemy, which repeatedly distracted Chen Fangsheng from rescue. The opponents of the Chen brothers and sisters are the ugly Zhang Wu who survived the encounter with Han Lao Mo, and Han Xian'ai who escaped death from Luo Hong. In a way, these 2 can be regarded as brothers in distress. Stop fighting. Zhang Wu looked at his bee colony, which had been greatly reduced in number, with heartache, and was the first to speak softly. It seems that you Huangfeng Valley will be in the limelight this time. Brother Chen, you took the elixir from this stone house, and will definitely make the next contribution. You can expect to build your foundation. Han Xian'ai said in a shrill voice. Humph, who are you looking down on? With my eldest brother's silver pen and golden book and his peak key refining cultivation, which of the disciples sent by the sect to test this time can compare with him? You, a demon, are so sure that my eldest brother can't get the first merit. Chen Kaioqian didn't want to let go of the 2 hateful men in front of her, and drove the magic weapon to attack again. 7th sister, wait a minute, is the person that brother Han thinks can get the first merit wearing an iron mask? Chen Fangsheng stopped the woman with his eyes, and asked with a hint of unconvinced arrogance. But wearing an iron mask? You seem to know nothing about that person. As a fellow disciple, it's a bit ridiculous. Han Xian'ai originally just wanted to make a sarcastic remark and retreat, but now seeing the Chen brothers and sisters reacting like this, he rolled his eyes and deliberately provoked the 2 of them. That man is wearing a strange mask. We can't tell him, even if we know him. What's so funny? Chen Kaioqian shouted at Han Xian'ai with a powerful female voice. Brother Han has fought with that man before. If you can tell me something, I will give you one of the spiritual herbs in the stone house. Chen Fangsheng spoke in a gentle tone and a serious look, which made Chen Kaioqian hold back her objection. In the bloody trial, being a fellow disciple does not mean safety. After all, the iron-faced junior brother is a person that elderly values. He must be extraordinary. If you don't know anything about his methods, it will be dangerous. If you meet him, well, you are worthy of being the eldest son of the Chen family. You are thoughtful in handling things. Han Xian'ai did not urge Chen Fangsheng to give the elixir first, but his face was solemn, and he said in a heavy tone, Brother Chen's silver pen and golden book are indeed powerful, but I can still go through more than 10 rounds, and it is not difficult to escape. And that person, I'm not even qualified to fight. Now think about it, it is a miracle to survive. For the sake of the elixir, I give Brother Chen a piece of advice. If you are an enemy of that person, you may survive. If you are 100 feet away, nonsense, don't believe him. He just wants to cheat us of the elixir. Chen Kaioqian didn't believe it at all. How could there be a cultivator in the key refining stage who is so powerful? It must be this dead demon who is lying. Chen Fangsheng also felt that the other party was exaggerating, but he should not be lying. After all, the other party was a leading figure in Huadao Wu. He must be arrogant on weekdays. It is impossible for him to belittle himself for a elixir. The other party seemed to be scared. This is not good news. Because this shows that, even if what the other party said was exaggerated, the actual situation was not far off. Thank you for your advice, Brother Han. Chen Fangsheng clasped his fists and threw out a 200-year-old tobacco. Watching Zhang Han and the other 2 leave, Chen Kaioqian glanced at her brother with a reproachful look and complained, Brother, you are just too easy to talk to. Seventh sister, do you think that person is the one who saved you that day? Chen Fangsheng was quite doting on the woman and didn't care about her temper at all. Hearing this, Chen Kaioqian immediately turned her head away in shame and anger, avoiding the gaze of her brother Nuou, but couldn't help but recall the pair of burning hands in her mind. The character of the surname Lu is not good, but with his wind spirit root and King Jiao flag, ordinary key refining disciples are not opponents. If that person is really powerful, I guess it is probably him. Haha, if the seventh sister is too shy to speak, I can ask for you. Chen Fangsheng looked at the shy look of his younger sister and couldn't help but joked. No. Chen Kaioqian exclaimed. She really didn't want her brother, who was like a father to her, to intervene in this matter. I will find a chance to ask that person myself. Okay, you take charge of this matter yourself and don't miss it. However, forget it in the forbidden area to avoid accidents. Chen Fangsheng nodded and warned that one must not be careless in the bloody forbidden area. Don't worry, big brother, there is still one day to go out. The forbidden area is so big that it is not easy to run into it. Big brother, you guard the door. I will go into the house to collect herbs. Chen Kaioqian took out a few jade boxes and walked towards the stone house. On the other side, Zhang Wu and Han Xian'er left, and the two stopped by a huge rock and swallowed the elixir to restore their magic power. Brother Han, what you said just now is not true, right? Zhang Wu hesitated and asked what he had been holding in his heart for a long time. Why? Brother Zhang thinks that Han is a shameless person who has no shame for a spiritual medicine. Han Xian'er said in a bad tone. No, brother, that's not what I meant. It's just that I met a disciple from the Yellow Maple Valley before. He was wearing Liu Feng's cloud stepping boots. Although he looked ordinary, he gave people a very tricky feeling. Zhang Wu recalled the experience of playing games with Han Li. He felt that the other party was extremely cautious and did not give him the slightest chance to attack. What's wrong with the Yellow Maple Valley this time? The disciples who came are more powerful than each other. Do they want to let us live? Han Xian'er punched the boulder with hatred, his face gloomy. The Yellow Maple Valley did come prepared this time. After seeing the power of the silver pen and golden book, I'm very curious about what means the iron-faced man has to surpass it. Zhang Wu touched his chin, looking very interested. Humph, don't take me with you if you want to die. Anyway, I definitely don't want to meet that person again. Han Xian'er's eyes narrowed, and he raised his foot and walked away, as if he wanted to distance himself from Zhang Wu, who had dangerous thoughts. Haha, even brother Han doesn't dare, so how can I take the risk? If I really meet him in the forbidden area, I will definitely stay as far away from him as possible. What I mean is that after we get out of the forbidden area, I will try to make friends with him. Zhang Wu hurriedly followed. He still wanted to join forces with Han Xian'er to get through the brutal fight at the exit of the forbidden area. Chapter 81 Day 5. On the afternoon of the 5th day after the forbidden area was opened, the giant and elders of the seven sects attacked again and blasted open the forbidden area formation. The dark passage was opened again. I wonder how many people can walk out this time. The strange fluctuations coming from above made Luo Hong slowly open his tightly closed eyes. He stood up and put his hands behind his back, exuding an indomitable aura, and completely entered the identity of Zuo Bufan, a casual cultivator from the secular world. So, who will be the first lucky person? At this time, a middle-aged Taoist priest from the Kingsu sect who was hiding in the forest stared at the rain curtain that almost covered the entire grassland, frowning. The passage is open, but the rain is strange. I have never heard of rain in the forbidden area. It happened to be at the exit. I'm afraid it was a trick used by a trial disciple. The middle-aged Taoist priest was not the first trialist to come to this forest. In fact, there were two weak mana auras in his perception. I think they should be those cannon fodder trialists who hid on the periphery from the beginning. In order to avoid the strong people returning from the central area, these people often wait at the exit half a day in advance, so that they can go out as soon as the passage is opened. The middle-aged Taoist priest has the 13th level of key refining, and is the top trialist in the Kingsu sect. He would not have come here so early, because he was poisoned by the opponent's spirit beast in the fight with a disciple of the spirit beast mountain. Although he finally killed it, he could not expel the poison in his body and could only suppress it temporarily with elixirs, which made him unable to fight for a long time. It was too dangerous to collect herbs in the central area in this state. In order to obtain more spiritual herbs, he came to this circular forest in advance to hunt cannon fodder trialists. After all, although they only explored the periphery, they might only collect 1 or 2 spiritual herbs, but killing more would still be a considerable harvest. However, the middle-aged Taoist priest's calculations fell through because of the strange rain curtain in front of him. Before he figured out the reality of the rain curtain, he did not want to act without authorization, so he hid himself, hoping that the trialists who could not hold back would enter the rain curtain to investigate. Unfortunately, after waiting for half a day, no one took the initiative to walk into the rain curtain. It was obvious that all the trialists in the forest had the same idea as him. The appearance of the strange rain curtain made the circular forest, which should have been full of fighting, quiet and peaceful, but this situation would not last long. If they could not leave the forbidden area before the passage was closed, the trialists who stayed in the forbidden area would mysteriously disappear. Although the specific reason was unknown, it was likely that they were killed by the restrictions in the forbidden area. Therefore, now was just the calm before the storm. The elixir can no longer suppress the poison in my body. Now the passage has just been opened, and there is still half a day before the passage is closed, but the middle-aged Taoist priest can't wait any longer. At most, in half an hour, he will be poisoned. At that time, he will have to use a lot of mana to suppress it, greatly reducing his strength. The middle-aged Taoist priest's eyes condensed, and then he stepped on the branches and rushed towards the rain curtain quickly. Humph. Instead of being slaughtered by others after the strength is greatly reduced, it is better to fight now. With the middle-aged Taoist priest taking the lead, the cannon fodder trialists hiding in the forest also approached the rain curtain at the same time. Although they were not as poisoned as the middle-aged Taoist priest, they could not afford to delay any longer. If they waited any longer, the strong men returning from the central area would arrive. These people were not strong, so they chose to hide until now. Naturally, they were not very confident. So after discovering other trial participants, they just remained vigilant and had no intention of taking action. They let the middle-aged Taoist priest lead the way in front of them so that they could sit back and enjoy the fruits of their labor. Brother Zal, it seems that someone has set up a formation here. Do we really want to go in? The yellow-shirted woman trembled slightly. This trip to the forbidden area really scared her. There is only one way to go. Besides, there are so many fellow Taoists here. Even if there is danger, it is not necessarily us who will suffer. It is better than facing those strong men who kill without blinking an eye. Let's go. The young Taoist priest offered the Bagua plate and protected him and the yellow-shirted woman as they walked into the rain. Here they come. A key refining level 13 leader, followed by 8 who have just entered the key refining level 12. Haha, there are 2 familiar faces among them. Luo Hong became slightly excited. He pinched his fingers and abundant water spirit energy emerged from the rain curtain around him. In a few breaths, a layer of light blue protective shield condensed around him. Then, Luo Hong cast several protective spells and sacrificed the soul-devouring shield. In this way, even if someone attacked with a powerful talisman, he would be able to resist it. The 2-mile journey is not long at all for a cultivator. The middle-aged Taoist priest soon arrived at a position about 100 feet away from the entrance of the passage and saw Luo Hong's vague figure through the rain curtain. It seems that he is the one who is playing tricks here. The middle-aged Taoist priest slowed down his pace, sacrificed his own magic weapon, and slowly approached Luo Hong. When he was 30 feet away, he finally saw the appearance of the trickster. The yellow-clothed and iron-faced man. It was him. The middle-aged Taoist priest immediately recalled the iron-faced man of the Yellow Maple Valley whom his elders had asked him to pay special attention to before he left. At that time, the elders had also asked him to wait for an opportunity to get rid of this man, so he had a very deep impression of him. Taoist priest, stay, don't cross the line. The cold warning of the iron-faced man came to his ears. The middle-aged Taoist priest glanced and found that a boundary was drawn on the ground in front of him. So you are a junior brother from the Yellow Maple Valley. What do you want to do by setting up an array here? My Kinksu sect has always been on good terms with the Yellow Maple Valley. Seeing the layers of protection on the other party, the middle-aged Taoist priest immediately gave up the idea of forcing him to come. After stopping, he turned to make friends. Haha, the blood trial doesn't care about the relationship between sects. If you, a Taoist priest with a big nose, want to get out, you have to hand over 2 spiritual herbs that are more than 300 years old. Luo Hong collected a toll here not to rob all the spiritual herbs collected by these trial participants. Even if he could do it, he would never do it. If he asked all the other 6 sects to leave the trial, or even killed them all, it would inevitably cause a serious diplomatic incident between the sects. Back then, when the 6 sects found that the Yan'yu sect used the Yueyang orb to harvest a large number of spiritual medicines in the forbidden area, they immediately united to force the palace, and finally made the Yan'yu sect hand over the Yueyang orb, and the 7 sects took turns to hold it. If Luo Hong really snatched all the spiritual medicines collected in this trial, then Huangfeng Valley would probably repeat the old story of the Yan'yu sect. Moreover, the forbidden area would not be opened again for 60 years after this trial, and the consequences might be even more serious. As the initiator, Luo Hong's end would definitely be miserable. My goal is to help Li Huoyuan win the bet, so that he would agree to one of my requests, and I should try to do as little unnecessary things as possible. The toll of 2 spiritual medicines per person will only make the other 6 sects feel a little painful, and it will not break the balance of the 7 major sects for thousands of years. Hearing Luo Hong's request, the middle-aged Taoist priest was stunned. He could not have imagined that the other party would be so bold. This move was tantamount to standing against all the trial takers. Isn't he afraid of being besieged to death? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 80 to the first batch. Luo Hong had no intention of hiding his cultivation. The aura of the manor at the peak of key refining made the middle-aged Taoist extremely afraid. Under normal circumstances, using 2 300-year-old spiritual medicines to avoid a life and death fight with this person would be a very cost-effective deal. After all, the spiritual medicines had to be handed over to the sect after they were taken out, but his life was his own. However, the middle-aged Taoist's luck in this trial was really bad. He was poisoned first, which resulted in not collecting enough spiritual medicines in the central area. Later, due to the change at the exit of the forbidden area, he did not hunt down the cannon fodder trialists. At this time, the spiritual medicines in the storage bag were barely enough to exchange for a foundation building pill. If too less, he would basically come here in vain. The more the middle-aged Taoist thought about it, the more indignant he became. Just as he took a step forward, he heard Luo Hong say coldly, "Those who cross the line will die. Taoist, you should think it through." 30 feet away, even if multiple trialists rushed into the passage together, Luo Hong was confident that they could stop them, so he drew a line here and set rules. HMPH, you are too arrogant. Today, I, Wu Easy, will test you. The middle-aged Taoist priest was speaking when he suddenly sensed a fatal threat. He shouted in fear and his eyes widened. With a pop sound, the jade crown on the middle-aged Taoist priest's head was smashed into powder by an Kingsley. His hair was disheveled, and he looked miserable. Wait a minute. The middle-aged Taoist priest waved his hands and retreated in a hurry. His tongue was tied because of the shock. Although the other party must have relied on something to make such a bold move, it was too powerful. I didn't react to the attack just now. This is the last warning. Don't even think about withdrawing from this formation. Now that you have come to Zuo, you only have 2 choices. Hand over the elixir or hand over the storage bag. Luo Hong's words shattered the middle-aged Taoist priest's last fluke mentality. Thank you for your mercy, sir. I will give you the medicine. The middle-aged Taoist priest took out 2 300-year-old cloud dew flowers and threw them to the iron-faced man, then bowed and asked, "Can you tell me your name? If the elders ask about it, after we go out, I can give you an explanation." Zuo Maoxing will not change his name or surname. I'm Zuo Bufan of Huangfeng Valley. If you want to seek revenge in the future, just come and find me. Luo Hong took the elixir in his hand, checked it, and deliberately raised his voice so that the 8 people behind him could hear it. I dare not. The middle-aged Taoist priest smiled bitterly. He missed the foundation building pill this time, and there was basically no hope of building a foundation in this life. As long as the other party did not die this time, he would definitely get more foundation building pills. It is very likely that the next time they meet, the other party will already be a foundation building cultivator who needs to be looked up to. How dare he hold a grudge? Of course, if there is a chance to add insult to injury, he will not hold back at all because of the other party's grace of not killing him today. I want to leave a note for my fellow disciples to persuade them to hand in the medicine. Please allow me. When they were near the passage, the middle-aged Taoist priest suddenly stopped, took out a yellow talisman, and asked, as long as the disciples of Kingsu sect follow Zuo's rules, Zuo will naturally not harm their lives. Please do as you please, Taoist priest. Luo Hong knew what the middle-aged Taoist priest meant. He was just afraid that he would deliberately find an excuse to kill his fellow disciples in order to let Li Huoyuan win the bet. Luo Hong would not do such unnecessary things. Of course, if they were stubborn, don't blame him for being ruthless. Thank you. The middle-aged Taoist priest bowed again. If there was no direct descendant of one of his good friends among the disciples of Kingsu sect, he would not risk speaking. Leaving a talisman was the only thing he could do. I hope that kid can be smarter. After the ceremony, the middle-aged Taoist priest jumped into the passage and ended his bloody trial. After watching the man leave, Luo Hong cast his eyes on the 8 trialists, who were watching from 70 to 80 feet away. Among the 8 people, except for the disciples of Yanyu sect, the disciples of the other 6 sects were all present. At this time, they looked at each other, somewhat hesitant. The reason why Luo Hong did not kill the middle-aged Taoist priest was that he wanted him to set an example for these people, proving that as long as they handed over 2 spiritual medicines obediently, they could get out safely. But this alone was obviously not enough to convince these people. After all, keeping promises with the strong and breaking promises with the weak is a common occurrence in the world of immortal cultivation. You two come here. Luo Hong pointed at one point and said to the young Taoist priest and the yellow-shirted woman standing in one place. After the two looked at each other, they gritted their teeth and walked forward. Brother Zuo, we don't have enough spiritual medicine. When the young Taoist priest first heard that Zuo Bufan was going to collect spiritual medicine from all the trialists, he was also shocked by the other party's audacity, but then he thought about it carefully and felt that with Brother Zuo's ability, this matter would be very promising, but it would be hard for him and Sister Qi. Disciples of the Yellow Maple Valley can go indirectly. Little Taoist, your yellow-winged bird has helped Zuo a lot, so I will also exempt you from the spiritual medicine. Luo Hong paused for a moment, then turned to the yellow-shirted woman who was overjoyed after hearing his words and said, Junior Sister Qi, please tell elderly, after you go out, it's done. Please wait for good news. Thank you, Senior Brother Zuo, I will definitely pass on the message intact. The two of them clasped their fists together and jumped into the passage without looking back. Seeing that 2 more people went out safely, the remaining 6 finally stepped forward. They didn't have much time. If they hesitated any longer, when the strong men from the central area came, they would be caught between the 2 parties and would definitely not end well. Senior Brother Zuo, 2 spiritual medicines over 300 years old are too many for us. Can you reduce 1 so that we can give an explanation to the sect? These people who ventured into this bloody forbidden land basically didn't think about collecting enough spiritual medicine to exchange for foundation building pills from the sect. Most of them were for other resources in the forbidden land, or they had other difficulties. Of course, their sect didn't expect them to bring out many spiritual herbs. As long as they could hand in 2 or 3, they would be considered as low-level disciples who had fulfilled their duties. Therefore, they only picked this many spiritual herbs. After all, picking more spiritual herbs means taking more risks. Greedy people won't live to this day. But what does this have to do with Luo Hong? It's not him who should be blamed. 2, not 1 less. Brother, you are too overbearing. The spiritual herbs I picked are for my mother's life. How can I hand them over? At this time, a young disciple of the giant sword sect stepped out of the crowd and shouted excitedly. His shouting made the other few who wanted to resign themselves to handing in the spiritual herbs hesitate again, and shrank back to watch the development of the situation. What does this have to do with me, Zuo? You can leave with your lives, which is already a generous act by me. Do you think I'm weak, and can be bullied? Luo Hong snorted coldly, and released his spiritual consciousness, to press on the young disciple. Suddenly, the young disciple felt that his soul was hit hard, and he couldn't help but feel sick and retreated repeatedly. But Luo Hong's move not only did not wake him up, but made the young disciple even more angry. After he woke up, he sacrificed his flying sword regardless of anything, and said with a scorching gaze, "I learned sword at the age of 6, and understood the sword meaning at the age of 10. Before I was 20, I had reached the 12th level of ki refining. If I risk damaging my sword heart and strike out with the strongest sword, I'm afraid my brother will also be injured. Today I must save my mother. Senior brother, don't force me. Zuo has a way to solve our problems at the same time." Luo Hong chuckled and flicked his middle finger. Bang, the body of the young disciple fell, and Luo Hong's cold eyes swept over the remaining 5 people. This time, there was finally no idiot who challenged his rules again. Chapter 83, at the center of the storm. Outside the forbidden area, people from the 7 sects were waiting for their disciples to come out. Because the amount of spiritual medicine collected was related to the distribution of foundation building pills, the foundation building managers present were a little nervous. After all, the result of this time would affect their work for the next 60 years. The passage was opened for an incense stick of time, but no disciple came out. This was a situation that had never happened in previous trials. The faces of the elders in the giant stage all changed, among which Li Huoyuan was the most obvious, with a face full of uneasiness. I wonder if that kid can withstand it? After waiting for a while, the middle-aged Taoist priest came out with disheveled hair. He couldn't help but glance at the people in Huangfeng Valley, and then walk towards the area of Kingsu Gate. "You're back. How did you get?" Fu Yunzi was not surprised at the safe return of the middle-aged Taoist priest. Originally, he just asked casually, but when he saw the extremely ugly expression on the other party's face, he couldn't help but feel a little uneasy. You know, the bloodline dragon inner core he used for gambling was bought at the cost of half of his fortune. If he lost it, he might vomit 3 liters of blood. The middle-aged Taoist priest did not dare to look at the expression of his elder. He lowered his head and told the elder exactly what happened at the exit of the forbidden area. Then he stood there, waiting for the elder to explode. "You just handed it in obediently." Fu Yunzi was furious. If what the other party said was true, he would definitely lose this bet. He immediately shouted loudly, "My disciple is really not his opponent." The middle-aged Taoist priest still felt a lingering fear when he thought about it now. He said under the amazing spiritual pressure of the giant stage cultivator. Fu Yunzi's strangeness attracted the attention of the giant and elders of the other 6 sects. They all cast surprised eyes. Even if his disciples did not collect many spiritual herbs, they would not be so angry. Moreover, after scolding his disciples, he looked at Li Huoyuan angrily. Could it be that the disciples of Huangfeng Valley and Kingsu sect had a fight in the forbidden area because of their bet? Thinking of this, many giant and elders showed a gloating and playful smile. Li Huoyuan was delighted and glared back at Fu Yunzi without any hesitation. He had lost a piece of iron essence to this bull nose, but it had made him work hard for 10 years. Today, he finally got rid of his anger. The people from the other 5 sects were curious about what happened. 7 disciples walked out of the passage one after another, except for the little Taoist priest and the yellow-shirted woman who said goodbye reluctantly. The other 5 walked back to their respective sects' resting areas with their heads down. Seeing such a scene, even the leader of the giant sword sect, which had no disciples coming out, couldn't help but feel a little uneasy. Several elders looked at each other and couldn't help but worry about whether there was a huge change in the forbidden area. This was a major event related to the future of the Yu Kingdom's cultivation world. The only ones who could remain calm now were the fairy Nishan and the old monster Kaiang of the Yan'yu sect. They had great confidence in Nangang Wan. After the 5 disciples returned to their respective sects, they were naturally questioned by their own giant and elders. 3 of them tremblingly handed over a spiritual medicine, and the other 2 could not even produce one. Fortunately, after learning the inside story, all the giant and elders turned their hatred to Huangfeng Valley, allowing them to escape temporarily. Li Huoyuan was not afraid of mere glances. With the constraints of the trial rules set by the 7 sects, they could only stare at him at most. Facing the returning yellow-shirted woman, Li Huoyuan stroked his white beard, tried his best to control his joyful expression, and asked in a gentle voice, "I met your senior brother Zuo, is he okay?" The yellow-shirted woman had never been treated like this by the elders of the sect, so she hurriedly bowed and replied, "Senior brother Zuo is unharmed," and he asked the disciple to bring a message to the elder. "Well, tell me word for word." Luo Hong had agreed with Li Huoyuan before that the Huangfeng Valley disciples who came out would report the situation, so Li Huoyuan was not surprised at the moment. "It's done. Please wait for good news." The yellow-shirted woman replied as ordered. "Haha, good, good. Take this bottle of elixir. I'll reward you for passing on the message." Li Huoyuan couldn't hold back the joy in his heart. He laughed loudly and threw a jade bottle to the yellow-shirted woman. Unexpectedly, there was such a surprise. The yellow-shirted woman thanked him repeatedly and retreated to the side to meditate and recover her breath. At this time, Fu Yunzi and others, who were originally holding back their anger, heard Li Huoyuan's laughter and couldn't help but get angry. "Master Li, don't you think that the behavior of your Huangfeng Valley disciples is too much? Fu Yunzi is likely to suffer a double loss of the sect's interests and personal interests, so he is the most restless." "Too much? Li doesn't think so. These disciples have all come out alive, and they didn't fail to bring back elixirs. They just lost 2 plants. Isn't this what you Taoists call compassion?" After laughing out loud, Li Huoyuan stopped pretending and retorted with a reasonable argument. "HMPH. Donor Li thinks he has one. The Kingsu 5 sons of my sect are not just for nothing. Donor Li still hopes that his disciples will withdraw as soon as possible, otherwise it will be in vain." Fu Yanzi suddenly flicked his sleeves and said with hope. Although he was angry and had lost his composure, he was still rational. He knew that the opponent's layout was complete and it was very difficult to kill him. The only hope was to force the opponent out as soon as possible so that he still had a chance to win. "Fellow Daoist Li, don't be too happy too early. Feng Yu, the madman of Xianyu Fort, will not let your disciple be too presumptuous." Several giant and elders who did not speak also nodded repeatedly. They still had some confidence in their top trial disciples. Even if one person was defeated, they would definitely not let Huang Fengyu's evil plan succeed if they joined forces. After hearing this, Li Huoyuan did not refute it. After all, this matter had to be tested by hands, and there was no point in saying more. "Dao Li, the person blocking the door is not your disciple, is he? I heard that Dao accepted a registered disciple for the sake of spiritual wine a few years ago. At that time, I was curious about what kind of spiritual wine made Dao accept a key refining stage disciple. I wanted to ask for a couple of cups to try, but unfortunately I was busy and couldn't go." Old Monster Kaian came to Li Huoyuan's side without knowing when, with a greasy and dirty face, smiling. "Of course not. My registered disciple is an expert in brewing spiritual wine, but he is not good at fighting. Junior brother Zuo is the disciple of Elder Zuo Lianlang of my sect. He worked so hard this time, just to get a few more foundation building pills. Our bet was just a coincidence. Senior, you won't forget that this bet was started by that bullnose." Of course, Li Huoyuan would not admit that Zuo Bufan was his disciple, otherwise the giant and elders of various sects present would hold him responsible for the anger they suffered today. As for the Zuo Lianlang he mentioned, there is indeed such a person, but because his lifespan is about to end, he has been in seclusion for more than 20 years in order to break through the nascent soul stage. Now the outside world does not know Zuo Lianlang's current situation, but Li Huoyuan, as an elder of Huangfeng Valley, knows that his senior brother has passed away a few years ago. Therefore, let him take the blame. There will be no future troubles. So you are brother Zuo's disciple. It's not surprising that you have this ability, but be careful not to make wedding clothes for others. Ha ha ha. Kyong Leogui left a strange remark and left with a big laugh. Li Huoyuan's face suddenly became solemn. The leading elders and trial disciples of Yan'yu sect this time were all strange, which made him worry that Luo Hong would capsize in the gutter. Disciple, where can you go? Chapter 84. The bitch wants me to take over. In the forbidden area, after dealing with the first batch of trialists, Luo Hong did not wait long before welcoming the strong men from various factions coming out of the central area. Now was the critical moment to determine whether he could succeed this time. Like the first batch of trial disciples, when Han Shianaya and others found the strange rain curtain at the exit, they all remained restrained and did not fight near the exit like in previous trials. Brother Zhang, how is the situation? Have you found out what is the trick to this strange rain? Han Shianaya asked anxiously. He did not want to delay any longer. The longer he waited, the greater the chance of meeting Zuo. Zhang Wu called back the spirit bee with a strange look on his face and said in surprise, there is nothing wrong with this rain, except that the water spirit contained in it is a little rich. There is no killing at all. Although this is the fact, reason tells Zhang Wu that the people who made such a big noise are definitely not just wanting them to wash clean before leaving. My fellow junior brothers and sisters, this place has undoubtedly been set up by someone. If you don't have the means to break the formation, there is no need to waste time here. Why don't we break through this formation together? When everyone was hesitant, Chen Fangsheng suddenly proposed loudly. His identity as the eldest son of the Chen family is quite appealing, and there is really no other way at the moment. After looking at each other for a few times, everyone nodded silently and agreed to this proposal. Although these strong men are arrogant, they are not fools. No matter who set up the formation, they are all well prepared. Most of them are not opponents if they fight alone. Okay, I will listen to the eldest son Chen. Please. Zhang Wu responded with a smile and stretched out his right arm, making a gesture to let Chen Fangsheng take the lead. Everyone, Chen will go first. Since he made the proposal, Chen Fangsheng was naturally ready to take the lead and took Chen Kaioqian to walk into the rain first. Zhang Wu and Han Shianaya followed in silence, keeping a distance of about 10 feet. Behind them were 5 Taoists from the Kingsu sect, the blue-shirted youth from Xiang Castle, and others. Each of them had a cultivation level higher than the 12th level of key refining, and there were 3 top-level masters at the 13th level of key refining. When these people stepped into the rain curtain one after another, Luo Hong also made preparations. He not only sacrificed the mountain-shaking spear, but also took out a jade talisman with blood patterns and hung it on his waist so that he could use it at any time. 15 people came at once. If we can deal with them, we can basically be sure this time. Facing so many elite trial disciples, Luo Hong did not dare to be careless and was very alert. Although Chen Fangsheng saw Luo Hong's figure 70 or 80 feet away, he still walked 30 feet away and stopped. This distance was just the limit of the spiritual consciousness of the key refining cultivator. One step forward would enter the best distance for fighting, and one step back would allow him to escape easily. Glancing at the corpse of a nearby disciple of the giant sword sect, Chen Fangsheng was about to speak when he heard Luo Hong's voice. Since you two are fellow disciples of the Yellow Maple Valley, I will not embarrass you. Just go out. How can I enter the passage with confidence when junior brother Zuo is looking at me like a tiger? May I ask what you are planning here? Most of the disciples who participated in the blood trial were for the foundation building pill, and the rule of the Yellow Maple Valley was that 10 spiritual herbs could be exchanged for 1 foundation building pill. In order to reach the top in one step, many disciples killed each other. Just based on the other party's light words, Chen Fangsheng did not dare to leave his and his 7th sisters back to the other party. It's reasonable for you two not to believe me, but if you get hurt later, don't blame me for not warning you. Luo Hong's eyes stayed on Chen Kaioqian for a moment, and then turned to the people behind Chen Fangsheng and said, everyone, I'm setting up a plan here. I don't ask for your lives. Just hand over 2 spiritual medicines that are more than 300 years old, and I will let you go. It doesn't matter if you can't make a decision for the time being. I'll give you time to consider, but everyone remember, those who cross the line will die. Your Excellency is so arrogant. Do you think you can stop us with just a threat? When has a blue-shirted young man from Shiang Castle ever been bullied like this? He shouted angrily. But he just shouted, without moving his feet, and his eyes were darting around, to observe the expressions of the trialists around him, obviously trying to encourage others to test. Master Ma is right. I advise Master Zuo not to make mistakes. None of us will be willing to hand over the spiritual medicine we have collected with all our efforts. Once we join forces, even the cultivators in the foundation building stage will not dare to resist. Master Zuo, greed can easily lead to failure. Don't ruin your hard-earned cultivation because of a single thought. An elegant Taoist from the Kingsu sect, surrounded by his 4 junior brothers, confidently advised him. But before he finished speaking, Han Xian'ai stepped out of the crowd, threw out 2 300-year-old Xianling fruits, and jumped into the passage without looking back. For Han Xian'ai, the loss of 2 Xianling fruits would not affect his exchange for a foundation building pill from the sect. The real loss was nothing more than a little face. As long as he could avoid the evil star in front of him, he even felt that this loss was a bit cheap. Han Xian'ai's action was so fast that even Zhang Wu beside him didn't react. The others all looked extremely surprised. The elegant Taoist felt a burning pain on his face and his face turned red. Luo Hong put away the Xianling fruit, and he admired Han Xian'ai a little more in his heart. Although this person was a bit weird, he was a rational person who could calculate the gains and losses. Zhang Wu was so angry when he saw Han Xian'ai leaving him and running away. The number of spiritual medicines in his hand was about the same as Han Xian'ai, but after hesitating for a while, he was still unwilling to hand them over. He immediately moved closer to the 2 fellow disciples of Lingxiao Mountain who were huddled together nearby. Aren't you 2 leaving yet? Luo Hong just wanted Li Huoyuan to win the bet, so it didn't matter whether he took the spiritual medicine out or other disciples of Huangfeng Valley took the spiritual medicine out. If the Chen brothers and sisters stayed here, they would get in his way, especially Chen Kaoqian. She had many entanglements with Han Laomo. If something happened, it might cause him a lot of trouble in the future. After all, Zuo Bufan's fake identity was known to more than just him. He might be able to keep it secret for the first few years, but it would be hard to say after that. However, Luo Hong would have already established his foundation by then, so even if what happened today was exposed, it would not have much impact on him. Chen Fangsheng nodded slightly. What the other party was going to do was too bold. If there was a conflict, even if he did not take action, he would suffer, because he was also a disciple of Huangfeng Valley. Although he also realized that the other party's actions were mostly instructed by elderly, his Chen family was big and powerful and would never offend most of the immortal cultivation families in New Country in one go, just to please an elder in the sect. Therefore, taking the initiative to withdraw was the best choice. However, before Chen Fangsheng could respond, Chen Kaoqian took the lead and said, "Brother Zuo, it was you that day, right?" Chen Kaoqian's cheeks flushed, her eyes were full of light, and she looked longing and shy, completely forgetting her brother's previous instructions. That day, Luo Hong was shocked. This woman wants me to take over. Chapter 85, The 5 Sons of Kingsu Go to Battle. Chen Kaoqian had high hopes for the iron-faced man. Now she saw that he was chatting and laughing with his brother in the face of a group of enemies. His demeanor was really extraordinary. His cultivation had also reached the level of half-step foundation building. The heart that was hurt by senior brother Lu was beating like a deer. Chen Kaoqian was also a beauty, but Luo Hong had no feelings for her and did not want to take the blame for Han Laomo, so she immediately replied, "Junior sister, what are you talking about? Zuo has been in seclusion in recent years and has never met you. Did you recognize the wrong person? 7th sister, now is not the time to talk about this. Get out of here." Chen Fangsheng's face suddenly changed, and he said in a stern tone that he had never used before. "HMPH. Master Chen acted well. He deliberately tricked us into the formation. It turns out that he had planned this all along. Everyone, don't let them go." Zhang Wu had a grudge with the Chen brothers and sisters when they were in the stone house. Now he sees the weakness of the Chen family's acquaintance with the iron-faced man and unceremoniously added insult to injury. Huang Fenggu has a big appetite this time, but I'm afraid there is no pair of teeth to match it. An old man in a green shirt, who was at the 13th level of key refining in the crowd, was leaning on a cane, and his kind face was full of anger. The others also looked at Chen Fangsheng with unfriendly faces, as if they were about to use their magic weapons at the next moment. Don't get me wrong, I have never met this junior brother Zuo. Chen Fangsheng was eager to clarify himself. If he became the target of public criticism at this time, he and his 7th sister would be in danger. Even the silver pen and golden book could not protect them. Chen Kaioqian was also shocked by the sudden change in the situation. Knowing that she had accidentally caused trouble, she became alert with a pale face. HMPH. Your sister's posture just now was very much like a person who was deeply in love. If I'm wrong about this, then I have lived in vain all these years. The old man in green clothes intensified the conflict while looking for the figure of the middle-aged Taoist priest who had some friendship with him in the crowd. He was determined to take action. The situation was not good. In Luo Hong's calculation, the trialists of various factions did not trust each other, and the probability of them all joining hands to deal with him alone was not high. The most likely thing to happen was a situation like the siege of Guangmingding. But now, due to Chen Kaioqian's confusing remarks and the instigation of someone with ulterior motives, the situation set by Luo Hong alone was turning into a conspiracy of all the trialists in Huangfeng Valley. A greater crisis produces a greater centripetal force. Seeing that these people were about to join forces, Luo Hong decided to muddy the waters thoroughly. The Taoist priests over there, this is the talisman left by your senior brother, take it. Luo Hong waved his hand and threw the talisman left by the middle-aged Taoist priest to the elegant Taoist priest. Sensing the residual breath of the middle-aged Taoist priest on the talisman, the other party subconsciously took it and then reacted and immediately looked around. Just like everyone else stayed away from the Chen brothers and sisters before, he and the other disciples who were undergoing trials near his 4 junior brothers also kept their distance and cast doubtful eyes. The elegant Taoist priest immediately realized that he had been tricked by the other party, but since he had already taken it, he couldn't just destroy it without listening. Then he performed a soundproofing spell and activated the note. The middle-aged Taoist priest was anxious to remove the poison and only left a sentence: don't fight with force, give up medicine and pray for your life. Brother, you are confused. If this happens, how can the face of our Kingsu sect be saved? The 4 people, including the elegant Taoist priest, were filled with righteous indignation for a while, and they were very confused as to why senior brother Wu Weizi wanted to leave such words to boost others' ambitions and show off his own prestige. Only King Guanzi, the youngest among the 5, showed a look of surprise and hurriedly explained to the 4 brothers, brothers, don't worry, brother Wu Weizi's message has a deeper meaning. Brother Wu Weizi and my father are close friends, so he knows some of the secret words commonly used by the brothers' families. This sentence should be read like this: if you don't give up your strength to pray, you can cure your life. After this, the 4 of them were silent. They obviously understood what the middle-aged Taoist meant, but they were a little hesitant for some reason. My fellow brothers, since brother Wu Weizi took the risk to leave message, he has his reasons. If we don't do it, how can we afford to cause Master Fuanzi to lose the bet in the end? So, don't hesitate, listen to my orders later, the elegant Taoist said solemnly. After removing the soundproofing technique, the elegant Taoist looked around. As expected, the other trial participants were more wary of them. After all, the 5 of them had been conspiring for a long time, and their behavior was indeed somewhat suspicious. Damn Taoist priest, are you also in the same group as Zuo? Zhang Wu couldn't help but shout. If that was the case, including the Chen brothers and sisters, there would be 8 people on Zuo's side, and the number would be overwhelming. In this case, he would have to learn from Han Shianaya and give up 2 spiritual herbs to save his life. Don't get me wrong, Mr. Zhang. I have absolutely nothing to do with Mr. Zuo. You also know that my master Fuanzi has a bet with Master Li of Huangfeng Valley. How could I do such a thing to provoke the enemy? The elegant Taoist priest tried his best to explain that, if he wanted to use the last resort, he had to tie these people to the same boat with them. It's easy to prove whether it's a misunderstanding or not. Hand over the note. We will make our own judgment after listening to it. The blue-shirted young man from Chiang Castle stared at the talisman in the other party's hand and said excitedly, "Mr. Ma's request, I cannot agree to it. This talisman can only be used twice and is now a piece of waste paper." This was not done by the elegant Taoist priest, but by the middle-aged Taoist priest. When he left the talisman, he knew that the iron-faced man would definitely check it, so he deliberately made a note that would be scrapped after being used twice, to prevent this talisman from falling into the hands of someone with ulterior motives and becoming an excuse to attack him. Such an argument was naturally unconvincing. The elegant Taoist priest threw the waste paper in his hand and bowed to the surroundings, saying, "It is late, and it is unwise to waste time here. Since all the donors suspect that my Kingsu sect is in collusion with Huangfeng Valley, let me first ask for the advice of Mr. Zuo." After the elegant Taoist priest said this, without waiting for others to respond, he led a group of fellow apprentices across the 30-foot boundary. Luo Hong looked indifferent, always maintaining an arrogant posture, but he had a murderous intent in his heart. The elegant Taoist thought that he had used the soundproofing technique, so no one could hear their conversation. However, he did not know that Luo Hong's spiritual awareness was 3 times that of his, and he heard everything the 5 of them were talking about clearly. Sure enough, you can't underestimate anyone. Unlike the previous time, when he dealt with the middle-aged Taoist, Luo Hong did not immediately use the dark green sun to sneak attack the 5 Taoists, because his spiritual awareness found that the magic power of these 5 people had long been faintly connected, and they were surrounded by a thick circle of air shields, and their defensive capabilities seemed to be quite strong. Using the dark green sun could not guarantee success, and Luo Hong wanted to see what the 5 Taoists had in their backhand, so he decided to strike back. After crossing the line, the 5 Kingsu sons all looked solemn. After all, this was a powerful enemy that senior brother Wu Weezy had told them to use that trick to fight. Chapter 86, Group Attack. The 5 Kingsu disciples walked in unison, and their movements were in line with the formation. When they cast spells and exercised their skills, their movements were in unison, and they looked like they were doing radio gymnastics. However, Luo Hong had no intention of making fun of them at this time. He had seen that these 5 Taoists must have practiced the same skills and used the mysterious formation to blend the 5 people's magic power together, forming a slowly flowing air shield. "Raise your swords." The elegant Taoist gave an order, and the 5 people stretched out their arms at the same time. 5 slender flying swords rose into the air from behind them, circling above their heads like swimming fish, and then shot towards Luo Hong. The 5 flying swords were all top-level magic weapons. The momentum of the 5 swords was amazing. Driven by the 5 Kingsu disciples, they lined up and pierced Luo Hong's eyebrows. The Weiyu Dongming formation was worthy of being a foundation building formation. It was a shield with secondary functions. It was only after the sword momentum of the 2 top-level flying swords was exhausted that it was broken. The remaining 3 flying swords stabbed at the lapis lazuli water shield around Luo Hong, but after a series of clanging and slashing, nothing was accomplished. The strength of the lapis lazuli water shield today is no longer comparable to that of 2 years ago. In the corpse of the mountain-shaking python, Luo Hong found a group of more than 20 silver runes, which were determined to be related to the One Yuan heavy water. After experiments, he decomposed 3 of them and engraved them on his soul through the Jade Talisman visualization method. Therefore, when Luo Hong casts water spells now, the power of the One Yuan heavy water that can be borrowed is twice as much as before. The lapis lazuli water shield also changed from the original light blue to blue, and the weight doubled, and the power also doubled. And because of the increase in the mana carrying capacity, Luo Hong can output more mana in the spell, so if he casts it with all his strength, the actual power will be much stronger. Like the water bullet technique, the blue gold water shield is making great strides from a primary intermediate level spell to a primary higher level spell. As long as Luo Hong's research on the one element heavy water goes deeper, he can cross the gap between the intermediate and higher levels. The flying sword's attack could not break Luo Hong's defense, but the 5 Kingsu had no intention of stopping. They kept attacking with their swords, as if they wanted to wear down Luo Hong's magic power or force him to dodge. Feeling a little irritated, Luo Hong flicked his finger, and the Enkingzi hit the blade of a flying sword, causing it to whine and fly sideways more than 10 feet away. Key sword style. Seeing that the opponent had a way to damage the flying sword, the elegant Taoist's face changed slightly, and he immediately changed his sword moves, driving the flying sword to hang more than 20 feet above Luo Hong's head, slashing out white sword lights. This attack was even weaker than before. The first layer of shield that could be continuously restored was enough to block most of the power of these sword lights. When they fell on the lapis lazuli water shield, it was like tickling. In fact, through the performance of these flying swords when piercing the lapis lazuli water shield, Luo Hong had already seen that these 5 flying swords were all the same style of magic weapons, and the quality was not high. They could only be considered ordinary and below average among the top magic weapons. But Luo Hong did not take it lightly. When they learned that they had to use the unknown backhand, the 5 people showed a look of embarrassment. Obviously, that move required the joint efforts of 5 people to use it. In this way, these 5 flying swords of the same style were very likely to play an important role in it. In addition, these 5 flying swords were not known for their sharpness. Maybe they were actually magic swords. Then the backhand of the Kingsu 5 sons was most likely some kind of powerful magic that needed to be performed together. Thinking of this, Luo Hong had already made up his mind. He flicked his finger again, and the Enkingzi shot directly at the elegant Taoist priest who was in the lead. In his horrified eyes, Enkingzi punched a conical depression in the transparent air shield in front of him, and the spiral force it carried twisted the surface of the air shield into a terrifying twist. Although the air shield still successfully blocked Enkingzi, it really scared the 5 Kingsu. The air shield they cast together was naturally not invincible, and it had been broken by others, but there was no time when opponents of the same level did not spend a lot of effort, use powerful magic tools, or high-level talismans to succeed. The iron-faced man in front of him just snapped his fingers, and looked extremely relaxed, but he almost broke the air shield. The gap between them was too big. What's more terrifying is that the opponent's breath when this spell was launched was too hidden, and its escape speed was too fast. Even if he sensed the breath of the spell, he couldn't dodge. In other words, as long as the air shield was broken, they would become the fish on the opponent's felt board, and could only be slaughtered. At this moment, the elegant Taoist priest completely understood senior brother Wu Easy, and no longer had any hesitation in his heart. He said to the people watching the battle from behind, "Donors, we alone cannot break this man's defense. Please attack together." The combined attack of the 5 Kingsu sons was extremely powerful. Zhang Wu and others asked themselves that they could not take on 5 flying swords at the same time. They could not help but be more wary of the iron-faced man. They immediately looked at each other and joined the siege. For a time, 7 top-level masters of the key refining stage crossed the 30 Zhang boundary at the same time, using their magic power or casting spells to attack Luo Hong. However, a closer look revealed that, although Zhang Wu and others joined the siege, none of them used their full strength. All the remaining strength was placed on their own defense. After all, no one wanted to be hit by a dark green sun. Brother Zuo is in a bad situation. Big brother, are we really not going to help? If Elderly knew, I'm afraid he would blame us. Chen Kaiouqian's face was full of worry. If she hadn't been so incompetent, she might have taken action long ago. Chen Fangsheng shook his head slightly. His 7th sister was good in every way, but she was too infatuated, and the girl was too outgoing. 7th sister, don't panic. Junior brother Zuo hasn't used his magic weapon yet, and he is obviously at ease. Although he has many opponents, it will take a long time to break through the blue-gold water shield. Before that, junior brother Zuo has the final say on whether to advance or retreat. Chen Fangsheng secretly marveled at junior brother Zuo's strength and wanted to see how this battle would end. However, he knew that he would not be able to stand under the dangerous wall with his 7th sister, so he advised, 7th sister, we are useless here, hurry up and enter the passage with me now. Chen Kaiouqian did not disobey her brother this time. After taking a deep look at Luo Hong, she was about to follow Chen Fangsheng around the side to the vicinity of the passage. However, some people did not want them to leave. An astonishing spiritual energy wave came from the side and rear of the brother and sister, and Chen Fangsheng could only offer the golden book to resist. After a bang collision, the golden book was actually somewhat defeated. Chen Fangsheng was shocked and looked at the opposite side. He saw that the one who attacked them was the old man in green with crutches. Next to him was the young man in blue from Shiang Castle. It was obvious that the two of them had joined forces. Ma Jingbian, my Chen family and the Ma family have been friends for generations. What do you mean by this? Young Master Chen is really the villain who complains first. It was obviously you who harmed us first. Even if we go to the clan leader in the future, I, Ma Jingbian, will be right. The blue-shirted young man had a dust-falling bead floating on his right hand, and a little spiritual light kept falling from it onto the cane of the old man next to him, which greatly increased his spiritual energy and power. It seems that, no matter how much Chen explains today, it's useless. You two, come on. Chen Fangsheng offered a silver pen, looking like he was going to fight. Don't be in a hurry, Mr. Chen. There are ways to turn hostility into friendship. As long as you lend us your seventh sister, I will. The old man in green laughed sinisterly, but before he could finish his words, he was interrupted by Chen Fangsheng's angry shout. Don't even think about it. The reason why the old man in green and the young man in blue formed an alliance, the old man and the middle-aged Taoist priest stole the young man's elixir in the original story, but did not kill him and let him go. All the young men knew that the old man knew his background and would not kill him. This was the basis of the alliance. Secondly, the falling dust pearl is a famous top-level magic weapon and is very powerful. Finally, please vote for recommendation. Chapter 87, Bizarro Yang Lei. The Chen siblings were fighting fiercely with King Lin and the other two, and something strange happened on Luo Hong's main battlefield. It wasn't a big deal, but the five Kingsu suddenly put away their swords and stopped fighting. What? Did they put their swords on Luo Hong's nose? Are they going to stop playing? The five Kingsu put Zhang Wu and the others in trouble when they stopped. Without their suppression, Luo Hong's various water magic packages bombarded them with danger. Damn Taoist, what do you mean? Zhang Wu said in shock and anger. Donors, please help me delay for a while. I will not let you down in 10 breaths. The elegant Taoist said seriously, and then he and his 4 junior brothers sacrificed their swords in front of their chests, pinched their fingers and chanted spells. After just a moment, sweat appeared on their foreheads, and it was obvious that they were not relaxed. At this point, Zhang Wu and the others couldn't get away, even if they wanted to. If anyone wanted to be a deserter, he would not only have to be on guard against an Kingzi, but also be careful of the companion who was furious beside him. Zhang Wu and the others immediately realized that they had been tricked by the elegant Taoist priests, and had to delay the powerful enemy for the stinky Taoist priests. Luo Hong dealt with multiple enemies at the same time, but he was not at all confused. The spells he controlled with distraction were even more flexible than those cast by Zhang Wu and the others, so that they had not been able to strike together. The scattered attacks were not to be feared. The array shield was enough to consume most of the power. The damage caused by the harassing talismans to the shield was not as fast as the shield's own recovery speed. Therefore, when the 5 Kingsu disciples made an abnormal move, Luo Hong discovered it immediately. These 5 Taoist priests were clearly reading the bar to open the big move. Normally, Luo Hong would have taught them a lesson with 5 consecutive and Kingzi. But when he found that the backup of the 5 Kingsu disciples was as he guessed, a powerful spell, he sneered secretly and let them complete the spell. 7th sister, get out of the way. Chen Fangsheng's urgent shout made Luo Hong frown. He had noticed that King Lin and the others had attacked the Chen siblings, but he didn't expect Chen Fangsheng to be defeated so quickly. A great reputation is not a false reputation. The falling dust pearl is indeed a trick. Chen Kairokian drove the 2 flying swords in a panic to intercept the crutches that broke through the golden book's defense, but her strength was only average among the trialists, and there was a big gap compared to the other trialists present, not to mention that the opponent was also blessed with the power of the falling dust pearl. The iron-headed crutches of the old man in green shirts knocked her 2 flying swords away with just 1 collision, and then the remaining force hit her knees, obviously intending to break her legs first, and then capture her alive. Seeing that she was powerless to stop it, and her eldest brother was unable to rescue her, Chen Kaioukian clenched her teeth and closed her eyes in fear. However, she did not feel the expected severe pain, but instead heard 3 consecutive pa explosions. Could it be? Chen Kaioukian opened her eyes with some expectation, and then she was delighted to see that the old man in green shirt who attacked her had a small hole in his forehead, and the young man in blue shirt covered his shoulder and retreated in panic. Blood could not stop flowing from his fingers, and the dust beads in his hand disappeared. Brother Chen, take your sister out quickly, Zuo will cover you. Luo Hong had no choice but to attack like this. Kinglin and the others accidentally caught his only weakness at the moment. Although he didn't like Chen Kaioukian, he didn't want her to die. Now that Luo Hong had rescued them, the Chen brothers and sisters must not stay in the forbidden area, otherwise Zhang Wu and others who had been unable to attack for a long time would definitely regard Chen Kaioukian as a breakthrough. Luo Hong's means were more than enough to ensure his own safety, but he was not good at saving people, and he had just exposed his ability to fire dark blue beads continuously, so it would not be so easy to succeed in another attack. Thank you. 7th sister, let's go. Chen Fangsheng didn't waste any words. He pulled up Chen Kaioukian's white wrist and rushed to the passage. Zhang Wu and others really tried to intercept them, and all kinds of magic weapons that had originally besieged Luo Hong were thrown at the Chen brothers and sisters. Chen Fangsheng had full trust in junior brother Zuo. He didn't even look back and took Chen Kaioukian to jump to the dark entrance of the passage. At the same time, Luo Hong slapped his storage bag, and more than 20 elementary and intermediate water snake talismans fell into his palm, and the next moment he activated them all. Suddenly, the spiritual energy in front of Luo Hong burst out, and more than 20 water snakes about 10 feet long condensed into shape. Go. The distracted spirits scattered, and these more than 20 water snakes condensed by spiritual energy were like living monsters, and they pounced on Zhang Wu and others with extraordinary flexibility, forcing them to call back the magic weapons to save themselves. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the Chen brothers and sisters successfully entered the passage, but the moment before Chen Kaioukian entered, the affectionate look back made Luo Hong very depressed. What a sin. There was no time to think about anything else. After being delayed by the Chen brothers and sisters, the magic of the 5 Kingsu disciples was already completed. The elegant Taoist priest and his 4 junior brothers all looked pale at this time, as if they would fall down at any time, but they all showed excited smiles on their faces. The green lightning on the flying swords on their chests was jumping from time to time, and a black cloud condensed dozens of feet above their heads. It's done. The elegant Taoist priest was delighted. With the help of the 5 lightning swords, he and his 4 junior brothers had practiced many times to cast the high-level spell, Bizio Yang Lei, but they had never really cast it, because casting this thunder would consume their yang energy, which would cause their cultivation and lifespan to be damaged. After paying such a high price, we will definitely be able to defeat the enemy in one fell swoop. Thinking so, the 5 people pointed at the black cloud above their heads at the same time, and the black cloud rolled up, and a sound like muffled thunder was heard. The violent spiritual energy made Zhang Wu and others who had just escaped from the entanglement of the water snake look sideways. Seeing that the 5 sons of Kingsu were struggling to control the spell, they all tacitly stayed away from the iron-faced man, so as not to be affected by the amazing thunder magic later. 5 yangs become extreme, and the blue sky is destroyed. As the 5 sons of Kingsu cast the last spell, the black cloud exploded with a boom, and a green thunderbolt as thick as an arm slammed towards Luo Hong. The elegant Taoist priest's face was reflected with green lightning, and he looked at the iron-faced man with a grim smile like an evil ghost in the underworld, trying to use the other party's terrified expression to soothe his pain of shortening his life. However, the lower half of the iron-faced man's exposed face only had a contemptuous smile. Facing the lightning, Luo Hong did not dodge and shouted softly, "Soul devouring." Then, the soul-devouring shield that had been protecting Luo Hong's chest appeared outside the sapphire water shield in an instant, and blocked the path of the green thunderbolt. Idiot, how can a mere top-level magic weapon withstand our yang thunder? This blow can seriously injure even a cultivator in the middle stage of foundation establishment. Those below foundation establishment will only end up turning into ashes. What a meaningless struggle. In an instant, the minds of the 5 Kingsu disciples turned 100-fold, but the next moment, a scene that made them terrified appeared before their eyes. Chapter 88. Don't pretend to be dead. Hurry up. Outside the forbidden area, Li Huoyuan and other giant and elders were waiting anxiously. They knew that, since no trial disciple had come out for such a long time, there must be many trial disciples who were confronting, and even fighting with the disciple from Huangfeng Valley who was guarding the entrance to the passage. The outcome of this battle basically determined the distribution of foundation building pills among the 7 sects for the next 60 years, which was extremely important for the development of the sects. More importantly, if the disciple from Huangfeng Valley could withstand the siege, Li Huoyuan would be in the limelight this time, and the leaders, young and old, would be ridiculed by him and lose a lot of face. At this time, there was a movement in the passage, and everyone's eyes gathered over it. When a man in yellow staggered out of the passage, many people breathed a sigh of relief, and Fu Yunzi laughed loudly. Li Huoyuan paused in stroking his beard, and after a glance, he returned to his calm and composed appearance. Chen Kaioqian came out a little slower, and saw the cultivators from the 7 sects looking at them in unison, and she couldn't help but get nervous. Chen Fangsheng sensed that the atmosphere was not right, and he pulled his 7th sister to the resting area of Huangfeng Valley. Fu Yunzi also found out at this time that it was not the iron-faced disciple who came out, but another Huangfeng Valley disciple, and his laughter suddenly stopped. The two looked like they had just fought a big battle, and it was obvious that the battle in the forbidden area was fierce, and they should come out soon. The Chen siblings walked up to Li Huoyuan to greet him, and as expected, they were asked about the situation in the forbidden area. Chen Fangsheng naturally did not dare to hide anything, including the matter of junior brother Zuo rescuing Chen Kaioqian, and he told everything in detail. Oh, you mean, before you came out, the 5 disciples of Kingsu were working together to cast spells and chant, but junior brother Zuo was held back by the others, and could not stop it. Li Huoyuan took a closer look at Chen Kaioqian, and confirmed with Chen Fangsheng. That's right. I suspect that the 5 people all have rare yang returning bodies, and they practice Kingsu sect's unique yang pei gong. The spell they want to cast is. Chen Fangsheng stole a glance at Elder Li's expression, and seeing that he was calm, he said, it's Bixio Yang Lei. What? The spell cast by those 5 big noses is Bixio Yang Lei. Brother, why didn't you remind senior brother Zuo? Chen Kaioqian immediately asked 3 questions nervously. If she hadn't known that, if she returned to the forbidden area at this time, she would be teleported to a place far away from the exit by the forbidden area. I'm afraid she would have rushed into the passage now. The situation was critical at the time, and I didn't think too much. When I entered the passage, I remembered a book about Bixio Zenran who was famous in Cheyenne 1,000 years ago, and then I saw through the plan of Taoist Kingsu. Oh. Chen Fangsheng was full of regret, and his complicated mood turned into a long sigh. In his opinion, once Bixio Yang Lei appeared, junior brother Zuo would be in danger. Have you seen junior brother Zuo use a magic weapon? Li Huoyuan had naturally heard of the name of the Azure Sky Sunlight, but he was still not panicked. No, junior brother Zuo has always used exquisite magic to fight the enemy. His water magic is extremely powerful, and it seems that he has a special magic body. Chen Fangsheng is worthy of being the eldest son of the Chen family. He has a wide range of knowledge, and can immediately see that Luo Hong's magic is not a regular spell. Then there is no need to worry. With the cultivation level of those 5 little Taoists, the Azure Sky Sunlight can only reach the power of a full strength attack of a cultivator in the middle stage of foundation building. Haha, maybe junior brother Zuo deliberately let them succeed in casting the spell. After all, this can save a lot of effort. Li Huoyuan chuckled and stroked his white beard more happily. In the blood-colored forbidden land, the green thunder hit the white shield of the devouring soul shield, and was swallowed up like a mud cow entering the sea. Finally, it gathered into a green thunder ball in the snake's mouth on the shield, like a dragon spitting out a pearl. The name of the soul-devouring shield was not made up by Luo Hong randomly. The greatest magical power of this magic weapon is that it can absorb the spiritual energy in the spell. As long as the power does not reach the level of Den formation, it can perfectly resist any spell and hit it back. This is the reason why Luo Hong allowed the 5 sons of King Su to cast spells. You must know that no matter how thick their shields are, they can't block the attack of the shaking mountain spear. It's over. Luo Hong's face turned cold, and he urged the soul-devouring shield to release the spiritual energy it swallowed. I saw that a green lightning beam swept towards the 5 sons of King Su, and instantly penetrated their protective shields, splitting the elegant Taoist and the young Taoist beside him into ashes, and the other 3 were also blown away by the aftermath. Then, it continued to sweep towards Zhang Wu and others, and electrocuted them one by one, and flew back to the boundary of 30 feet. For a time, except Luo Hong, no one stood on the entire battlefield. Master Zuo, please show mercy. The 3 of us are willing to hand over the spiritual medicine. The first thing the young Taoist King Yunzi did, when he got up from the ground, was to take out 2 spiritual medicines from his storage bag and beg. The 2 300-year-old spiritual medicines are the price before the action. If you want to get out now, you have to hand in 2 spiritual medicines that are more than 400 years old. The same goes for the ones lying over there. Luo Hong didn't want to start a massacre, otherwise he wouldn't have deliberately beaten everyone out of the boundary, but the necessary price increase is necessary, which is the right of the winner. King Yunzi didn't refute. After taking out 2 spiritual medicines again, he helped his 2 senior brothers up, and persuaded them a little. The 2 looked sad, and they also took out 2 spiritual medicines, and then supported each other with King Yunzi, and walked towards the passage. They were not afraid that Luo Hong would go back on his word at this moment, but they were afraid that Zhang Wu and others would come to settle accounts with them after they recovered. This time, the 5 sons of King Su could be said to have cheated Zhang Wu and others from beginning to end. Now that the outcome of everyone handing in the spiritual medicine has been determined, it is inevitable that after someone hands in 2 plants, the number of spiritual medicines left is just not enough to exchange for the foundation building pill. At this time, King Yunzi and the other 2 are the targets they use to recover their losses. Fortunately, the youngest King Yunzi was smart and decisively handed in the medicine and ran away, thus escaping the disaster. Not long after King Yunzi and the other 2 left, Zhang Wu finally suppressed his injuries. After getting up, he first glanced at the original position of the King Su 5 sons, cursed inwardly, "You ran so fast," and hurriedly called back the spiritual bees released during the battle. However, no matter how much he recited the magic formula, the spiritual bees that flew back were still pitiful, and it was obvious that most of them had turned into ashes. Heartbroken, Zhang Wu couldn't help but look at Luo Hong, who had put his hands behind his back again. "It seems that you still want to learn from Zuo's methods." Luo Hong bent his fingers and made a gesture to Fire and Kingzi. "Don't dare. Senior brother Zuo has shown mercy. If we don't show mercy, we will be courting death. This is Zhang's share. Goodbye." Zhang Wu dared not jump up and down. He regretted it so much. He should have gone out with Brother Han earlier. "Damn, I'm so unlucky. Don't pretend to be dead for the rest of you. Hurry up." Luo Hong released most of the power of the Bizio Yang Lei that he absorbed on the elegant Taoist and his unlucky junior brother. The rest was distributed to Zhang Wu and others. They could be injured, but not to the point where they could not move. Luo Hong was very confident in his control. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 89, Moon-Shattering Sect Enters. After watching the last person enter the passage, Luo Hong ignored the storage bags on the ground and immediately sat down cross-legged to swallow the pills to restore his mana. Although Luo Hong's danshan is more than twice as large as other cultivators, he has not yet refined his own mana because he was in a hurry to participate in the bloody trial, so his mana is only 50% more than that of normal cultivators. If it weren't for the help of the big formation, he would definitely not be able to hold on. After this battle, Luo Hong only had about 30% of his mana in his danshan, and his consciousness was also consumed a lot because of the dance of the group of snakes. In this incomplete state, he naturally had to hurry to recover. In fact, Luo Hong's achievement was enough for Li Huoyuan to win the bet. After all, Han Leo Mo also gained a lot. Calculating the time, he and Nangang Wan should have just finished the second blooming of the flower and are forcing a way out. But since things are going relatively smoothly, Luo Hong has a great chance to seize another opportunity in the forbidden area. This opportunity is Nangang Wan. This giant unstage cultivator's cultivation level has regressed to the key refining stage. No, after losing her body, her skills have also been broken, so her cultivation level should have recovered to the early stage of the foundation establishment stage. Even so, it is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. In one of Luo Hong's studies, a giant unstage cultivator is needed to cooperate. Under normal circumstances, this is impossible before he has formed a Dan, but Nangang Wan's Sunu reincarnation technique gave him a chance. Half an hour later, in the blood forbidden land, in the circular forest, a ghostly figure suddenly appeared behind a disciple from the Spirit Beast Mountain. It only flashed by and silently cut off the head of the disciple from the Spirit Beast Mountain. After collecting the storage bag neatly, he ran again, until he walked out of the circular forest, and saw the rain curtain in front of him, and then stopped on the treetops. This person is Han Li, who escaped from the stone hall, and rushed all the way here. What a strange rain. It seems that it is not easy to get out of this forbidden area. There is only one exit, and it is getting late. Han Li knows that he has no other choice but to force his way in. Fortunately, under the influence of Nangang Wan's secret technique, his current cultivation has reached the 13th level of key refining, although it is only temporary. Using the black iron shield, Han Li quickly broke into the rain curtain. After walking for a while, he found a figure sitting cross-legged. Yellow clothes? Is it my fellow disciple? He whispered the formula of the traction technique, and indeed felt it. The traction technique is a sensing spell that Masters An cast on all the disciples of Huangfeng Valley before departure. It can enable the trial disciples to sense each other's position within a certain range. Therefore, the person in front must not be a disciple from another sect pretending to be. Brother, don't hesitate. Get out quickly. Han Li did not dare to take it lightly. After thinking for a while, he slowly approached. After walking a few dozen feet, he saw traces of fighting all around. There were deep pits caused by the explosion everywhere, gullies cut by sharp blades, and the ground seemed to have been plowed. It was hard to imagine how fierce the fight was at that time. Han Li swept his spiritual sense and found the bodies of the giant sword disciple and the old man in green clothes. There were also 2 storage bags lying quietly in the ashes. Seeing this, Han Li secretly groaned. His Xian Lizian gold brick talismans had all been used up. Apart from the sneak attack of the transparent silk thread, he had no means to threaten the iron-faced senior brother in front of him. This made him very uneasy. He could only hope that his luck would not be too bad. Senior brother, can you tell me what happened here? Nothing serious. Zuo is just here to collect spiritual medicine from disciples of other sects. By the way, this junior brother, have you seen anyone from the Yan'yu sect? The passage will be closed in half an hour. The disciples of the Yan'yu sect should have come long ago. Could it be that they were annihilated in the forbidden area? Luo Hong asked knowingly, wanting to tease Han Leo Mo, and also wanting to infer from his expression whether there was a major change in the timeline. Before Han Leo Mo came, 8 trialists came to Luo Hong one after another, including Han Yunzi. Although her strength has greatly improved compared to the original timeline, she is still far behind the disciple of the giant sword sect who drives the silver sword. But she still picked the fiery sunflower just like in the original timeline. Obviously Han Leo Mo had made a move. Therefore, Luo Hong's appearance is unlikely to affect Han Li and Nangang Wan's good fortune. The test at this time is more for confirmation. Han Li was so shocked that he couldn't speak for a long time, and he no longer had any doubts that the iron-faced man was Brother Luo. With Brother Luo's cautious nature, he would never do such a life-threatening thing. Brother Zuo's actions amaze me. As a disciple of Huangfeng Valley, I'm ashamed of myself. However, Brother Zuo should not try to attack the Yan'yu sect. When Han Li was in Kixun sect, he heard him say in a casual conversation with Li Feiyu that a woman would feel uncomfortable for a few days after losing her virginity. Although he didn't know if the immortal cultivators were the same, Han Li didn't want senior brother Zuo to fight Nangang-won out of pity for Nangang-won. Unfortunately, in order to keep the secret of Nangang-won's skills, he couldn't say it too clearly. Well, Zuo knows what's going on. Junior brother, please get out quickly, Luo Hong said lightly. Han Li knew that the other party didn't listen to his words, so he didn't say much and jumped into the passage. In his opinion, Nangang-won, whose cultivation level has recovered to the initial stage of foundation building and has the help of the magic weapon Suzaku ring, will definitely make senior brother Zuo suffer enough. After losing her virginity to him, Nangang-won's mood was very unstable. Han Li didn't intend to stay here to offend her. Before leaving, he gave Luo Hong a look of "May you be lucky." Since old Demon Han has come, the group of people from Yan'yu sect must be not far away, so Luo Hong stopped meditating and stood up, put away the storage bags on the ground, and took a milky white bead from the grass beside him. It was the falling dust bead of the young man in blue shirt. Of course, this was not lost by Ma Jingqian. The 5 senses of the immortal cultivators are extremely sharp, so it is easy for them to find their own magic tools. However, Luo Hong looked at him with a kind look while he was looking for it, which made him voluntarily give up the falling dust pearl. This was also the first time since the trial that Luo Hong took the initiative to snatch the magic tools of the trialists. There was no other way. Those simple and crude magic tools that could only be chopped and smashed were fine. He was always very interested in these magic tools with special functions and always wanted to study them when he saw them. Moreover, the ability of this falling dust pearl to bless magic tools and spells was closely related to an unresolved topic of his, so he really couldn't bear to miss it. Just after cleaning up the battlefield, his spiritual sense sensed that a group of disciples of the Yan'yu sect swaggered into the Weihudangming formation. The leader was a stunning beauty in a white dress. Her elegant and noble temperament was far beyond the comparison of the young female disciples behind her. After only sensing it for a moment, the already cold expression of the stunning beauty became even colder. A halo flashed in her eyes, and she bounced Luo Hong's consciousness away. Chapter 90 Super Heavy Water Bomb Technique. Nangang-won suddenly released her spiritual sense, which made the Yan'yu sect disciples who were originally relaxed suddenly nervous. They all formed a formation in pairs, holding magic tools, and looking around cautiously. Don't panic, it's just that someone is spying on this place with spiritual sense. It should be the person who set up the formation here. Nangang-won scolded with a frosty face. The master's cultivation has recovered to the initial stage of foundation building. What sect is this person from? Why dare to act rashly? The Yan'yu twins who had caused trouble before seemed very active, as if they wanted to perform well, so that they could avoid punishment after leaving the forbidden area. This formation is quite mysterious, and it is definitely not something that a key refining stage disciple can possess. I think that person relies on this formation to fight with us. Nangang-won smiled coldly. She was angry in her heart, and she was looking forward to having an object to vent her anger on. She didn't waste any words, and led the disciples straight to the passage. When Nangang-won saw Luo Hong in yellow, she was furious, and wanted to tear her into pieces. Without saying anything, she sacrificed the Suzaku ring. Wait a minute senior. I have no ill intentions. Junior brother Han Li specifically asked Zuo not to fight with a woman in white. Luo Hong didn't want to fight to the death with Nangang-won, so she immediately mentioned a name that had entered her heart. What did he say to you? Nangang-won's face changed slightly, and she kept spinning the Suzaku ring above her head, ready to sacrifice it at any time. Junior brother Han said that the senior saved his life, and asked the junior not to hurt the senior. Luo Hong laughed in his heart. Old Demon Han, senior brother, I can only help you so far. Ridiculous. I, Nangang-won, still need a key refining stage disciple to protect me? Exclamation mark. You are talking nonsense. Look at the magic weapon. Nangang-won did not show the shy expression that Luo Hong expected, but suddenly sacrificed the Suzaku ring and hit Luo Hong. With 2 light bangs, the shield of the formation and the sapphire water shield broke. The magic weapon driven by the foundation building period was really powerful. It broke through Luo Hong's two layers of protection with one blow, and was not knocked out until it hit the soul-swallowing shield. Luo Hong cursed the woman inwardly for being so deep in her heart that she started fighting as soon as she said she would. Nangongwan's pretty face was slightly surprised. Even ordinary cultivators in the early stage of foundation building would find it difficult to take her blow, but the disciple of Huangfeng Valley in the key refining period in front of her actually took it, and it seemed that there was still a lot of strength left. Could it be because of this formation? Thinking of this, Nangongwan immediately activated the vermilion bird ring, causing it to ignite a blazing spiritual fire and quickly dispel the water spirit in the formation. She was actually going to forcibly break the Weiyu Dongming formation in this way. How could Luo Hong let her succeed? She immediately took off the jade talisman on her waist, wiped off the blood pattern on it, and threw it into the air. As soon as the jade talisman was activated, it immediately absorbed the surrounding water spirit energy crazily, forming a huge cyclone in the air. In a moment, most of the water spirit energy accumulated by the light rain cave bright array was absorbed by it, and the raindrops as big as rice grains turned back to the original drizzle. The jade talisman also collapsed automatically, because it could not absorb enough water spirit energy, leaving only a blue water ball with a diameter of about 10 feet. The amazing spiritual energy it exuded was even stronger than that of high-level talismans. This was the killer move that Luo Hong prepared for this trial. The unique talisman created by the blood of the Dan spider, the secret method of the spiritual pattern, and the knowledge of the silver rune of the One Yuan heavy water, super heavy water bomb technique. In the original plan, this jade talisman was prepared for Zhang Wu's batch of trial disciples, but unexpectedly, the 5 sons of Kingsu suddenly appeared and helped Luo Hong. The power of this talisman is more than enough to deal with cultivators in the early stage of foundation building, but Nangongwan's real cultivation is the early stage of Jianden, and she has a magic weapon, so Luo Hong needs to add some strength. The huge blue water ball fell quickly. Luo Hong sacrificed the shaking mountain spear and plunged into it. Then he used all his consciousness and mana to control the blue water ball and the shaking mountain spear at the same time, turning them into a huge, high-speed rotating conical drill in a breath. From top to bottom, it rushed straight to Nangongwan. From Luo Hong throwing the jade talisman to the formation of the big drill, it took only 2 or 3 breaths. Nangongwan was still surprised by the change of spiritual energy and saw a strange magic spell attacking her with amazing momentum. Nangongwan didn't care about the hidden injuries in her body and drove the Suzaku ring with all her strength to meet the attack. Suddenly, a lifelike firebird wrapped the Suzaku ring and flapped its wings to fly towards the blue big drill. After a loud explosion, the vermilion bird ring resisted for a moment, but was ultimately defeated. The firebird had transformed into was drilled into countless sparks. The main body was knocked away and fell beside Nangongwan. Most of the blue drill driven by Luo Hong was also worn out, which showed that he did not win this round easily. Nangongwan forcibly activated the magic weapon, causing the hidden injuries in her body to burst out. After spitting out a mouthful of black blood, she collapsed to the ground, her lips slightly parted, and she gasped in pain. Grandmaster. The trial disciples of the Yan'yu sect were all stunned. Their own giant and elder actually lost to a key refining disciple from the Huangfeng Valley. How could this be possible? However, even if they could not believe it, the fact was the fact, and all they could do was accept it. After being stunned for a moment, the trial disciples rushed up to protect each other. Although they were very afraid of Luo Hong at this time, if Nangongwan had any accident, they, the key refining disciples, would have to pay with their lives. Luo Hong's condition was not good either. In order to avoid meeting Xiang Laogi, he deliberately used his ultimate power as soon as they met. At this moment, his danshan was empty and only 10% of his mana remained. His head also ached slightly, which was obviously due to excessive consumption of his spiritual consciousness. But in order to achieve his goal, he still forced himself to control the green water ball that had restored its spherical shape in the air to split into several groups and smashed it towards the disciples of Yan'yu sect who were surrounding Nangongwan. Although these disciples resisted with the secret technique of combined attack, they were completely no match. They were smashed and flew out one after another, unable to get up for a long time. Luo Hong recalled the shaking mountain spear, which was only as thick as an arm, and was coiled with a green water snake. He held it in his hand and approached Nangan one step by step. "What do you want to do, young man?" Under the tough appearance, Nangan one showed a trace of weakness. Luo Hong's greedy eyes made her feel like she was falling into an ice cave. "I'm a giant and stage cultivator, but I have to be bullied by two key refining stage disciples of Huangfeng Valley in one day. How can I save my face?" However, the expected terrible thing did not happen. Luo Hong stopped a few feet away from Nangan one. The green snake on the shaking mountain spear stretched out and took the vermilion bird ring back. Observing and studying the magic weapon of the giant and stage cultivator at close range was exactly the purpose of Luo Hong's battle with Nangan one. Greedily observing every inch of the vermilion bird ring with his naked eyes, the little remaining spiritual consciousness all poured out, scanning every detail of the vermilion bird ring over and over again. Nangan one, who was watching this scene from the side, couldn't help but feel a chill. This boy, does he have a fetish? Chapter 91 The Trial Ends. The unactivated Suzaku ring looked like an ordinary object in Luo Hong's vision, without a trace of spiritual energy. Compared with its might in Nangan one's hands, it was simply a world apart. This shielding effect was completely within Luo Hong's expectations. He immediately urged the blue round particles in his danshan to emit a blue halo. The halo shone on the Suzaku ring, and suddenly in Luo Hong's vision, the Suzaku ring showed an extremely rich fire spirit, far exceeding any top-level magic weapon he had seen. This is the spiritual energy level of the magic weapon. Data collection is successful. With such a close observation, the physical examination table immediately calculated the precise values of many Suzaku rings, among which the spiritual energy level was the focus of Luo Hong's attention. The goal was achieved. Luo Hong threw the Suzaku ring to Nangan one, bowed and said, "Senior, I just want to borrow the magic weapon to see. It is not my intention to hurt you. I hope you will forgive me." Nangan one was silent, looking down at the Suzaku ring, hesitating whether to pick it up. She inexplicably felt that this magic weapon of hers was a little unclean. Seeing that Nangan one did not respond, Luo Hong did not continue to stimulate her. He returned to the center of the formation and gently turned the formation plate. Then, the formation flags hidden in the surroundings soared into the sky and flew to Luo Hong like swallows returning to their nests. After collecting the formation, Luo Hong jumped into the passage. After his eyes went dark and bright, he returned to the barren mountain where he came from. As soon as he came out, Luo Hong felt many hostile and burning eyes. He did not bother to find the source of the eyes. Anyway, the people of the other 6 sects were offended by Zuo Bufan. Before he could return to the area of Yellow Maple Valley, a greasy old face came to his chest, staring at his mask with interest. There was no doubt that this person was none other than Old Monster Kaiang of Yanyu sect. "Boy, have you seen any of the trial disciples of Yanyu sect?" At this time, there was only a quarter of an hour before the passage was closed. Old Monster Kaiang was laughing on the surface, but he was actually feeling uneasy. "Your sect's disciple is right behind me, and he will probably be out soon." Luo Hong did not dare to offend this reckless old boy, and replied respectfully, "Ahem, Senior Kaiang, please don't embarrass this junior of mine." Li Huoyuan stood in front of Luo Hong, pretending to protect his child, but he was not very confident in front of Old Monster Kaiang. "Kid, I see that the spiritual energy around you is quite mixed, so your aptitude must be not very good. However, your body has some tricks. Why don't you join my Yanyu sect? I will let you have 3 wives and 4 concubines, and give birth to 17 or 18 children, so that your body can flourish. What do you think?" The old monster Kaiang actually poached the girls from Huangfeng Valley in front of Li Huoyuan, and immediately made Li Huoyuan's face turn red and white. He said in a slightly cold tone, "Senior Kaiang, don't make such jokes again, otherwise I can only ask Uncle Ling Hu to preside over justice." "How boring. It is obvious that my method is the most practical. Kit, think about it carefully." The old monster Kaiang curled his lips, turned around and waved his hand to leave. "Thank you, Uncle Master, for helping me." Luo Hong breathed a sigh of relief and saluted. "You did a good job this time. I agree to your previous request. Come find me after you build your foundation. Now, go and rest." Li Huoyuan was very satisfied with Luo Hong at this moment. He also agreed to Luo Hong's request that had embarrassed him. As soon as Luo Hong sat down, Chen Qiaoqian wanted to come over and talk to him, but was stopped by her brother. The two of them talked in a low voice. I don't know how Chen Fangsheng persuaded Chen Qiaoqian. She sat there unwillingly, but her big watery eyes still glanced at Luo Hong from time to time. Han Li was meticulous and his eyes naturally did not escape his eyes. Seeing Chen Qiaoqian's secret love, he felt sad. Although he did not accept the woman's plan, he had many fantasies in the dead of night. He really didn't want to see her being affectionate with other men. But Han Li had no way to stop it. He could only close his eyes and concentrate on meditating to recover his breath. If he didn't see it, he wouldn't be bothered. After a while, Nangang Wan walked out of the passage with the help of a group of Yan'yu sect disciples. The leader of Yan'yu sect, Fairy Nishing, immediately came forward with a look of concern and personally fed Nangang Wan a healing pill. Qiang Leogui asked about the experiences of other trial disciples in the forbidden area. When he heard that Zuo Bufan defeated Nangang Wan in the early stage of foundation building, he couldn't help showing surprise on his face and turned his eyes to Luo Hong, who was meditating, as if he wanted to re-examine him. After that, Xiang Laogi, like in the original timeline, ran out when the passage was about to close. So far, this bloody trial has come to an end. Counting the surviving disciples of each sect, Yan'yu sect is the well-deserved first, with Nangang Wan as many as 11 people, while the other sects have an average of only 5 or 6 people, and the worst Jujian sect has only 3 people. But even so, it has not been hundreds of years since more than 40 people survived a bloody trial. It is normal for only more than 20 trial disciples to come out alive in a trial. The abnormality of this trial was mainly due to Luo Hong's blocking of the door, which prevented the trial disciples from fighting fiercely at the entrance of the passage. Although his rules are overbearing, they are better than chaos. At least they can keep people alive. It can be said that many trial disciples were saved by Luo Hong, but they could not see this. They only thought about their spiritual medicines that were taken away, and they only hated Zuo Bufan, played by Luo Hong. When it came time to reveal the bet, Taoist Fu Yunzi had basically given up and sullenly asked his disciples to show the spiritual medicines they had collected. Old Monster Qiang had not admitted defeat yet. After all, they had the most disciples from the Yan'yu sect, and no one had taken away their spiritual medicines, which left a trace of suspense in the bet. However, soon, this trace of suspense was crushed after Luo Hong and Han Li poured out more than 40 and more than 20 spiritual medicines respectively. Together with the harvest of the Chen brothers and sisters and the other 2 disciples, Huangfeng Valley actually collected more than 100 spiritual herbs this time, which made the group of Foundation Establishment disciples very excited, as if they had seen the scene of Huangfeng Valley's prosperity in the next 60 years. Li Huoyuan laughed loudly and snatched the bloodline Jiao in a pill from Fu Anzi. Seeing Niubaz's heartbroken expression, he felt very comfortable. Qiang Leogui also delivered 3 invisible needle talismans as promised. Li Huoyuan gave one of them to Luo Hong on the spot, which made the disciples of various sects jealous. This is a talisman which even the Foundation Establishment cultivators are eager to get. Afterwards, everyone rode on Li Huoyuan's unicorn silver python and traveled for 2 days and 2 nights. It is worth mentioning that on the way, Li Huoyuan still accepted Han Li as a registered disciple, and of course his purpose was to get the spiritual herbs collected by Han Li. After all, although Luo Hong handed in a lot of spiritual herbs, most of them were 300 or 400 years old, which was not very useful for the giant and cultivators. The spiritual medicines Han Li collected from the Mo Jiao Stone Palace were very old and precious, and they were more precious than Luo Hong's chips. After returning to the Yellow Maple Valley, in order to avoid Chen Qiaoqian's entanglement, Luo Hong left early, pretending to be healing, before the trial disciples had completed the process of returning to the valley. Chapter 92 Hair Removal and Marrow Cleansing. On the 4th day, after returning from the forbidden area, Luo Hong had recovered to his best condition after a full rest. The 4 foundation building pills that belonged to him were also handed to him by Li Huoyuan. The time had come. After Luo Hong explained some matters to Zuo Lao, he closed the formation of the courtyard and began to build the foundation in seclusion. Sitting cross-legged in the spirit gathering space, Luo Hong first entered into a state of concentration and ran a few basic exercises. After his body and mind entered the state of cultivation, he pinched a foundation building pill without hesitation and swallowed it into his stomach. The medicinal power of the foundation building pill took effect very quickly. After just a few hours, Luo Hong felt a ball of fire in his danshan burning more and more vigorously, while his limbs and other places were extremely cold, forming a very distinct feeling of cold and hot. In Luo Hong's consciousness, the tiny silver runes on the surface of the danshan changed again and slightly adjusted their positions. This change was so slight that Luo Hong only felt a slight numbness and itchiness in his danshan. Didn't they say that hair removal and marrow washing start from the danshan and will be accompanied by severe pain? Could it be that I have mastered the ice muscle chapter and saved this step? Just as he was wondering, a sharp pain like cutting flesh and bone suddenly came from his danshan, causing Luo Hong to curl up and fall to the ground, gritting his teeth to endure it. Obviously, Luo Hong had overthought just now. If the ice muscle chapter could save the key step of hair removal and marrow washing when building the foundation, this secret method would definitely be practiced by everyone and highly sought after. After enduring the initial severe pain and adapting a little, Luo Hong barely gathered some spiritual consciousness and probed into his danshan for observation. Even if he was in pain, he would not miss the opportunity to observe the rare phenomenon of hair removal and marrow washing in cultivation. At this time, the surface of the danshan was devastated, with depressions everywhere like craters on the surface of the moon. His flesh and blood were melting, but they were also constantly regenerating. Brand new silver runes appeared on the new flesh and blood, one by one inlaid in the network formed by the silver runes of the ice muscle chapter, which was natural and exquisite like a work of art. So that's how it is. Hair removal and marrow washing is to greatly rewrite the silver runes of the immortal cultivators. Its purpose must be to make the immortal cultivators move closer to a higher level of life. The excitement brought by the new discovery only lasted for a moment. Luo Hong suddenly realized that hair removal and marrow washing is a matter for the whole body. After the danshan is done, the medicinal power will flow to the limbs and bones. According to this tune, wouldn't it be? Luo Hong's face suddenly changed. He was considering whether to hit the ground with his head and knock himself unconscious first. The heat flow in the danshan suddenly spread out, and suddenly his whole body was numb and itchy at the same time, so that he could only twitch on the ground and couldn't move. The spiritual consciousness gathered and dispersed, and gathered again. After repeating it 8 times, Luo Hong barely glanced at the meridians in the hair removal and marrow washing, and found that there was no change. In addition, there was no strange feeling in the bones of the whole body. It is not difficult to judge that the supporting role of hair removal and marrow washing is the flesh and blood of the immortal cultivator. After an incense stick, Luo Hong was freed from this torture, and his whole body was warm and comfortable. Luo Hong knew that this was the feeling brought by the rapid regeneration of blood and flesh after the ablation. At this time, Luo Hong's body was covered with a layer of grey sticky substance, emitting a strong odor. Undoubtedly, these were not toxins in the body or anything else, but necrotic cells, and their original positions had been replaced by new cells. This also meant that the silver runes in the flesh and blood had undergone a significant change. After taking out a cleansing talisman to wash away the dirt on his body, Luo Hong sat cross-legged again, practicing the exercises and feeling the changes after the hair removal and marrow washing. At this moment, Luo Hong still had a lot of medicinal power from the foundation building pill in his limbs and bones. They were not enough to continue to promote the hair removal and marrow washing, but if they were absorbed by the exercises, they could increase the upper limit of mana. Normally, it would take at least 3 months to absorb all the scattered medicinal power. Even in the spirit gathering space, it would take a month, mainly because it was more troublesome to absorb the medicinal power from the flesh and blood. After knowing the situation, Luo Hong opened the physical examination form and checked the changes in various values. After taking the foundation building pill. Name: Luo Hong. Realm: Key refining 13th level, 15,999/16,383. Energy: 5,012 mana. 15,999 spiritual sense. 62. First derivation, spiritual root quality. 1 meridian strength. 350. The current meridian can withstand the limit of internal spiritual pressure. 40. Stable, external spiritual pressure. 40. Stable, mana purity. 10. Increased spell power equals mana purity asterisk 5%, mana control. 62. Spiritual sense determines the upper limit, which has been reached at present. Danshan capacity. 32,000 mana foundation establishment countdown. 32 days, calculated based on the current internal spiritual pressure. Kung Fu proficiency, Zio Shuyuan Gong 13th level, great success. Bing Jiu Gu Fa 6th level, great success. Ling Jiao secret pattern 1st level. 48,000/150,000. Dayanju 2nd level, 62/200. After reading the physical examination form, the effect of the foundation building pill was clear at a glance. The biggest change was undoubtedly Luo Hong's mana purity, which was only 5 before, but it doubled in one go. If you practice the basic exercises bit by bit, it would take several years to increase this value by 0.1. The foundation building pill can greatly improve the purity of the cultivator's mana by removing hair and washing marrow and rewriting the silver runes on the danshan. This efficiency is incomparable. No wonder all the cultivators in the key refining stage are willing to fight for the foundation building pill. Secondly, Luo Hong's mana limit has also increased by 100 points, which is insignificant compared to the former. Because of the sudden increase in mana purity, Luo Hong's danshan capacity has also doubled, which has exceeded the bottleneck of foundation building by a lot. In this way, as long as he absorbs the remaining medicinal power of the foundation building pill within a month, he can naturally advance to the foundation building stage. It is exactly the same as his previous calculation, that he can successfully build a foundation with one foundation building pill. Of course, it doesn't matter if you take 2 more foundation building pills. The hair removal and marrow washing in the danshan has been completely completed, but there is still a little bit missing in the flesh and blood. Although this can be slowly nurtured with mana after the foundation is built, it is naturally best to achieve it in one step. Through the capacity of the danshan, the benefits of a large danshan are immediately highlighted. Those cultivators with second grade spiritual roots do not manage bottlenecks and practice blindly every day. When they reach the foundation, they will encounter a big problem. That is, the danshan is too small, so that after the hair removal and marrow washing of the foundation building pill, the danshan capacity cannot break through the bottleneck of foundation building, and eventually fail to build the foundation. If you think about it this way, it is the cultivators with inferior qualifications who can better exert the medicinal effect of the foundation building pill. Luo Hong can jump from 5 to 10 at once, while those cultivators with second grade spiritual roots can jump from about 7 to 10. The gap is obvious. However, it is difficult for cultivators with inferior qualifications to practice to the late stage of key refining. Luo Hong and Hanli are both special cases of cheating. After figuring out the secret of hair removal and marrow cleansing, Luo Hong swallowed 2 foundation building pills in a row to make up for the lack of blood and flesh, and then began to refine the remaining medicinal power, waiting for the moment when the upper limit of mana reached the bottleneck of foundation building. The next chapter will mention how Luo Hong calculated the upper limit of mana required to break through the next bottleneck. By the way, explain the spirit level and spirit level shielding effect mentioned earlier. It can be hinted that these are all related to the spirit eye, and Luo Hong was also inspired by it. Chapter 93. A few things about the lepton energy level. Between sunrise and sunset, a month had passed in a flash. The mortal warriors of Fanghua Garden worked diligently in the spiritual field. Old Zuo was patrolling slowly in the wine shop, and 2 apprentices followed him, serving them meticulously. Here, they didn't have to worry about the vendettas in the martial arts world, let alone the pain and illness. It was the most comfortable place. They were grateful for Luo Hong's protection, so they always looked at the yard on the hill in their spare time, with a little worry in their eyes. There was no way who told Luo Hong to hurt himself every time he went into seclusion. It was peaceful outside, but Luo Hong in the spirit gathering array had reached a critical juncture, and he was only 1 point away from the upper limit of the mana of the bottleneck of foundation building. It can be condensed within an hour. At this time, the mana in Luo Hong's Danshin had already been atomized, and the white mist-like mana ball slowly flowed along the inner wall of the Danshin, leaving a small spherical area in the core of the Danshin, as if there was an invisible object there that was repelling the mana. When the last bit of mana was condensed, the white mist mana ball suddenly expanded and squeezed the inner wall of the Danshin. Even Luo Hong's Danshin, which was fully developed in the ice muscle chapter, could feel the obvious pressure. It is conceivable that ordinary cultivators must have had their Danshins about to burst at this time, and they were terrified. The foundation of low-level cultivators lies in the Danshin. Once the Danshin is destroyed, at the least, the cultivation will be lost, and at the worst, the life will be lost on the spot. Facing the great terror between life and death, if you can't deal with it calmly, then the failure of foundation building is inevitable. Luo Hong was not surprised, but happy at this time. His spiritual consciousness surged out, and he immediately controlled the disobedient mana, and pressed it back little by little. In this process, Luo Hong didn't feel any effort, which was probably related to his spiritual consciousness that far exceeded that of cultivators in the key refining stage. Soon, the compressed hollow mana ball reached the critical point. At this time, Luo Hong's spiritual consciousness could no longer push it, and of course there was no need to push it anymore. The repulsive force suddenly disappeared when it reached the critical point. At this moment, a strange phenomenon occurred. I saw that the mist-like mana group was slowly disappearing from the inside to the outside, and then suddenly appeared in the core area. At this time, the mana was no longer in a gaseous state, but a milky white liquid. When observing the phenomenon of mana changing its position in the form of space jump, Luo Hong was even more excited than he was about to build a foundation. As we all know, mana and spiritual energy are exactly the same in physical properties, because the former is compressed and condensed by the latter. Therefore, the mana phenomenon that occurs in the body of the immortal cultivator must have the same spiritual energy phenomenon between heaven and earth. Conversely, if the spiritual energy phenomenon between heaven and earth is difficult to observe, it can be simulated and proved by mana. In the research on spiritual particles, Luo Hong discovered the concept of spiritual energy levels very early, and its distinct levels determine the various realms of immortal cultivation. At the beginning, Luo Hong defined the first ray of mana born in the Danshin when breaking through the first level of key refining as 1 mana, just to save trouble. But he didn't expect that this ray of mana coincided with the underlying energy level of the spiritual particle, so that every time he broke through the bottleneck, the current mana limit recorded in the data showed obvious regularity. That is, each leap of the spirit particle energy level must reach twice the previous spirit particle energy level, and then the calculation formula for the upper limit of mana required to break through a bottleneck is obtained. N equals 2 to 1, where N is the realm number, which is also the spirit level number. Taking the breakthrough from the 13th level of the key refining stage to the early stage of the foundation establishment as an example, N is equal to 14. Of course, the conclusion drawn by summarizing the data, although most of the time it is in line with reality, does not rule out special cases, especially when Luo Hong does not collect much data. In addition, the theory of the spirit particle energy level is only a conjecture, based on the known phenomena of Luo Hong. Although it can explain many phenomena of immortal cultivation, he has not actually observed the phenomenon of spirit particle energy level transition. However, this breakthrough in the foundation building gave him a great opportunity. Before the foundation building, each leap of the spirit particle energy level will not bring obvious changes, and the mana required for the transition of the bottom energy level is too little, and the transition can be completed in an instant, which is basically impossible to observe. When building the foundation, the form of mana will undergo a huge change, from gas to liquid, and the required mana will also break through the 10,000 level. This time, Luo Hong finally observed the transition of the energy level of the spirit particle for the first time. And this kind of space jump transition also explains the problem that Luo Hong has always had in his mind. That is, how are the spiritual eyes formed? The classics of the sect say that the spiritual energy produced by the spiritual veins of heaven and earth is not evenly distributed. In those places where the spiritual energy is the most concentrated, it is possible to form spiritual eyes after tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of years of evolution. This cannot be said to be nonsense, but it is purely a product of empiricism and has great fallacies. The most obvious mistake is that, if spiritual eyes are only born in places with the most concentrated spiritual energy, how can it be difficult to find them? Immortal cultivators can see spiritual energy. If there are spiritual eyes in places with concentrated spiritual energy, then it is accurate to find them. In fact, it is just the opposite. In the cave, where the spiritual eye spring is located, Luo Hong did not feel the existence of the spiritual energy of heaven and earth except for the spiritual energy emitted by the spiritual spring. The mountain where the cave is located is even more mediocre and the spiritual energy is weak. Luo Hong was puzzled at first, but now that the transition form of the spirit particle energy level has been discovered, all problems have been solved. Just like the foundation of a cultivator, when the spiritual energy of heaven and earth is raised to a higher level, the mountains and rivers of heaven and earth are the danshan. The vast amount of spiritual energy emitted by the spiritual veins is the mana, and the cyclone formed on the macro level is a divine consciousness. Finally, at a point in the center of the cyclone, a large amount of spirit particles jump over, and after a long time, a spiritual eye is formed. Without human control, it takes a lot of coincidences to achieve these conditions. This is why spiritual eyes are so rare. As for why the spiritual eye is invisible, this involves the spiritual level shielding effect. There is a very common phenomenon in the world of immortal cultivation. Low-level immortal cultivators will feel that high-level immortal cultivators are unfathomable. When the gap is large to a certain extent, even if a high-level immortal cultivator stands in front of a low-level immortal cultivator, he will be regarded as immortal by the other party. This is the spiritual level shielding effect. Low-level individuals cannot effectively observe high-level individuals. According to the records in the classics, in order to move the spiritual eye spring, one must have at least the cultivation level of the Jiandan stage. That is, one must reach the 17th spiritual level to sense the spring. Luo Hong is keen on studying the spiritual particle energy level, not just out of interest. According to the bottleneck formula, each bottleneck after the foundation building will become more and more terrifying. The original method of taking drugs to cultivate immortals during the key refining stage is no longer applicable, and the work of improving the spiritual pressure cultivation method must be put on the agenda. As Luo Hong continued to think, the mana in his danshan had completely gathered at the center and turned into a ball of milky white slurry. At this moment, Luo Hong entered the foundation building stage. Chapter 94, The Matchmaker. After successfully building the foundation, Luo Hong did not stop practicing immediately. He continued to refine mana with the power of the foundation building pill and consolidate his realm. In this way, 2 months passed, and Luo Hong's mana limit increased to 17,000. At this time, the power of the foundation building pill in his body was completely absorbed. So, Luo Hong tried to operate the small water elemental technique out of curiosity, and then he found that no matter how many cycles he ran, his mana limit did not increase at all. It was not that the small water elemental technique suddenly could not refine mana, but that the mana condensed by it from the spiritual energy of heaven and earth could not enter the danshan. The reason is that the mana condensed by the small water elemental technique is too pure, and it is not at the same spiritual level as the liquid mana in Luo Hong's danshan now, so it was rejected. To put it in a more vivid way, the big customer of the danshan is now awesome, and has put forward higher requirements for suppliers. It no longer wants the original low quality products. It seems that I can only practice higher level techniques to continue to improve. Luo Hong said this, opened his eyes, stepped out of the gathering spirit formation, and announced the end of the 3-month retreat. After coming out of retreat, Luo Hong did not immediately go to Li Huoyuan to ask for the technique, but sat on the bed, ground ink and wrote down his insights during the foundation building. He checked the purity of the mana after the foundation building, and it was still 10, without any change. This is also reasonable. The change from gas to liquid is just a change in the gathering form of the spirit particles, which has nothing to do with the purity. Just like, after water vapor turns into water, it is still water. However, the change in form has changed the volume of mana and once again increased the capacity of Luo Hong's Danshan. With a Danshan capacity of 64,000, I'm afraid that I will not encounter bottlenecks when I practice to the late stage of foundation building. Luo Hong chuckled proudly. After stopping writing, he found that his blank book that recorded various research results was almost finished. Well, I should give it a name so that it will be easier to find later. After closing this mortal book without any spiritual energy, Luo Hong thought for a while, picked up the pen, and wrote on the cover, "The Secret Record of Hong Jun's Three Treasures, Huangfeng Valley, Li Huoyuan's Cave." In the past few years, Luo Hong has come here every year to offer spiritual wine. He is already familiar with the way and does not need anyone to lead the way. He took out the forbidden token and went straight through the formation to the door of the cave. Before Luo Hong could send out the sound transmission talisman, he heard Li Huoyuan's voice in his ears. "You are so quick. Will I break the promise? Come in." As soon as the voice fell, the restriction at the gate disappeared without a trace. Luo Hong passed through a water curtain and a small valley full of birds and flowers, and stepped into a cave. In the hall of the cave, Luo Hong saw his master Li Huoyuan. Next to him sat a beautiful woman in her 20s. I think she was his master's wife. Luo Hong had come here so many times, but this was the first time he saw his master's wife. Naturally, he bowed and paid his respects. "Are you Luo Hong? My husband has mentioned you often these days, saying that you will soon succeed in building your foundation and come to see me. He also asked me to end my retreat and come out to see you. You are indeed very handsome and have an extraordinary appearance. Do you have a girl you like? Do you want me to introduce you to two female foundation building practitioners in our sect?" Luo Hong's master's wife had an extremely gentle voice, a typical girl from the Jiangnan water town, but she really scared Luo Hong by introducing him to someone as soon as they met. Could it be Dong Zuana, the goblin who likes to play with men? Exclamation mark. Also, you can brag about anything, but don't brag about my appearance, okay? I feel like I'm being mocked. Luo Hong's bitter face made Li Huoyuan and his wife stunned. Then Li Huoyuan asked in surprise, could it be that madam's words hit the mark? You really have someone in your heart. Could it be that Li Ziaking? Luo Hong didn't know how to answer this question. First of all, he certainly couldn't lie that he liked Li Ziaking, otherwise he would invite Han Lao Mo to his wedding next month. But he couldn't deny that he had someone in his heart. Otherwise, if he and Dong Zuana were really put together, he would have to go to the treasure hunting meeting of Yanji Abao. That was a trap set by the Ghost Spirit sect. There were elders of the Ghost Spirit sect in the Jiangnan stage ambushing. Luo Hong didn't want to try his luck. After struggling for a while, Luo Hong rarely told the truth in front of Li Huoyuan. Disciple does have someone in mind, but it's not Sister Ziaking, nor is it a cultivator from Huangfeng Valley, but a female cultivator from Yan'yu sect who is in the foundation building stage. Her name is Yu Ruoxi. After saying that, Luo Hong bowed and saluted, ready to face Li Huoyuan's scolding. A female cultivator from the Yan'yu sect? Disciple, don't be wishful thinking. Li Huoyuan surprisingly did not scold her harshly, but frowned and said thoughtfully, I met her when I was in the key refining stage, and we have been through life and death together. I will marry her in this life. Luo Hong said this sincerely, but this was just to dispel the idea of Li Huoyuan and his wife forcing Dong Zuana to him. In fact, Luo Hong did have a special feeling for Yu Ruoxi, but it was not to the extent that he would marry her. It was more like he had tasted Yu Ruoxi's delicate body and was a little greedy. To put it bluntly, you are his cheap, and you are greedy for Yu Ruoxi's body. Luo Hong admitted it openly. It is normal for men to be a little lustful. We have been through life and death together, so there is great hope. Haha. Li Huoyuan suddenly laughed, which surprised Luo Hong and his wife. My husband, the female cultivators of Yan'yu sect are all good at charm. Aren't you afraid that your precious disciple will be deceived? Master Luo Hong was very unhappy and frowned. It was obvious that she did not agree with this marriage. Haha, it's better to have a female cultivator from Yan'yu sect. That old monster Kaiang wanted to kidnap my disciple. Look, my disciple kidnapped the female cultivator from Yan'yu sect first. Haha, very good, very good. So, you are holding a grudge against old monster Kyang. Master, you are really a bit stingy. Luo Hong secretly complained. HMPH, whatever you want. I'm going to practice. Master Luo Hong saw her husband like this and felt helpless. Finally, she looked at Luo Hong with regret and left. As if seeing Luo Hong's worried expression, Li Huoyuan took the initiative to explain, "My disciple, you don't have to worry about your master's wife. She just wanted to match her little sister with you after hearing about your ability. She also said that good things should not be given to outsiders. She didn't think about how she would be on par with those foundation building female cultivators. If my disciple married them, the order of generations would be completely messed up. Fortunately, you understood the master's intention. Forget about the woman from Yan'yu sect. The master will not stop you. Everything depends on fate. So that's it." I said, "It's not that easy to practice dual cultivation with female cultivators from other sects. However, if I had obeyed my master's wife just now, wouldn't I have to call Li Huoyuan master and Li Huoyuan call me brother-in-law? What the hell is this? Thank you, master." Luo Hong was happy that she had escaped a disaster. "Well, since your mistress has left, it's time to get down to business. Now that you have established your foundation, you can become my official disciple, Li Huoyuan. This is the waist badge of an official disciple. I have cast a spell on it. In times of crisis, you can use it to summon a ball of 3 yang true fire to help you escape danger." Li Huoyuan threw out a red token, which was small and exquisite, with an 8 character on it. Luo Hong immediately hung the token on his waist and saluted respectfully, saying, "Disciple Luo Hong, I pay my respects to the master." Chapter 95, Kung Fu and Small Goals. I don't like red tape. After you meet me, you will be my official disciple. So, I have to say some things as a role model. Since I promised you that I would lend you all the techniques suitable for you to practice, I will definitely not regret it. Choosing techniques is a major event in a cultivator's life. I understand that you are so cautious and want to compare. But, do you know that techniques can be roughly divided into 3 categories? Li Huoyuan resumed his dignified and old-fashioned look when he talked about business and asked very seriously, "I have heard of some of them, but I don't know the details. Please enlighten me, master." Luo Hong wanted to hear the understanding of the techniques by the giant and stage cultivator, so he followed Li Huoyuan's words. This first category is suitable for those cultivators who know that they have no hope of forming a pill. After practicing this technique, they will have powerful magical powers, which can greatly advantage them when fighting with others. What's more, they can fight against enemies of higher levels and defeat powerful enemies with higher cultivation levels than themselves. However, this kind of technique is often not as effective as expected in improving magic power. With a lifespan of 200 years for a foundation building cultivator, it is extremely difficult to cultivate to the late stage of foundation building, let alone to go further and enter the stage of forming a pill. Li Huoyuan said seriously, while patting the storage bag on his waist and taking out 2 jade slips, 1 black and 1 white, and making them float in the air. "I think these 2 jade slips are the first category of techniques. It turns out that the master has already prepared them. The second type of exercises are the exact opposite of the first. They are easy to practice and can improve magical power in an amazing way, allowing a cultivator in the foundation establishment stage to reach the bottleneck of core formation in his lifetime. But the magical powers gained from practicing this method are pitifully weak. Using this to fight others is simply a waste of time. Therefore, it is suitable for those ascetics who do not like fighting and are indifferent to fame and gain." After explaining the second type of exercises, Li Huoyuan only took out a blue jade slip and placed it separate from the 2 jade slips just now. As for the third type of skills, they are the extremely rare top level skills. The immortal cultivators who have mastered these skills not only have powerful magical powers, but also have few rivals at the same level, and they are also very fast in improving their magic power. At first glance, it basically has the advantages of the first 2 types of skills at the same time, but without the defects of the first 2 types of skills, which is very tempting. But you must remember, my disciple, the premise of enjoying these benefits is to practice the skills. The practice of top level skills not only has many restrictions, but is also extremely dangerous. If you are not careful, you will die. None of your 7 brothers chose to practice this type of skills. If you are not gifted and extremely suitable for this skill, your master suggests that you do not try to practice it. Your master would like to drink the spiritual wine brewed by you for a few more years. Li Huoyuan took out 2 jade slips with a serious face, which were the rare top level skills. Then he sighed and said, "It's a pity. If you can find a skill that fits your body, I'm afraid you will have a great chance to form a pill in this life." Luo Hong's special water magic naturally could not escape the eyes of the giant and stage cultivators. In addition, Luo Hong originally studied the Jade Talisman visualization method, based on the idea of the Dharma body, so it was natural for Li Huoyuan to mistakenly believe that he had a certain Dharma body. Li Huoyuan also visited several giant and stage cultivators in the sect who had a good relationship with him for Luo Hong's skills, but he found nothing. No one was surprised by Luo Hong's sudden appearance of the Dharma body talent, because the Dharma body is not like the spiritual root. Except for the most common types that can be detected, the rest are actually like Luo Hong, which is suddenly awakened by the cultivator during the cultivation. The classics even recorded an example of a giant and stage cultivator who did not awaken his Dharma body until he broke through the giant and stage. Take these 5 jade slips and choose any one to practice. Remember not to bite off more than you can chew. Li Huoyuan waved his hand, and the 5 jade slips fell on Luo Hong's open palms like flying swallows. "I'm grateful for your teachings, Master." Luo Hong was overjoyed. He put away the jade slip and bowed to express his gratitude. In addition, there is one more thing I want to tell you. Originally, after successfully building a foundation, the disciples of my Huangfeng Valley had the right to open caves in the Taiyu Mountains, but I thought you would be reluctant to leave Fanghua Garden, so I decided to hand over Fanghua Garden to you for management. From now on, you can take 2,000 kilograms of the 32,000 kilograms of spiritual grain submitted to the sect every year as your reward for managing Fanghua Garden. However, in this way, you will not get the 1 mid-level spiritual stone that the sect gives to the foundation building cultivators every year. Li Huoyuan said calmly, not feeling that there was anything wrong with making the decision for Luo Hong. According to the market price, 2,000 kilograms of spiritual grains are equivalent to 2 mid-level spiritual stones. Thank you, Master, for thinking of me so much. I will definitely brew more and better spirit wine for you in the future. Luo Hong guessed Li Huoyuan's true intention at once, but what he did was exactly what Luo Hong wanted, so he accepted his kindness with joy. Afterwards, Li Huoyuan gave Luo Hong a lot of instructions, letting him know a lot about the distribution of forces in the Yellow Maple Valley, so as to avoid offending people and causing trouble in the future. A few hours later, Luo Hong returned to Fanghua Garden. He flew in the air and stayed above the formation, holding a formation plate in his hand while fiddling with it and chanting a spell. Not long after, a spiritual light shot out from the formation plate, hitting the protective formation below and causing its surface to ripple like water waves. It's done. From now on, this protective formation will be completely under my control. Fanghua Garden has a lot of output every year, so the sect will naturally not be stingy enough to fool people with a maze formation, but instead set up a water element turtle shell formation with extremely strong protection. It is impossible to break it easily if you are below the giant and stage. Originally, Luo Hong only had the right to enter and exit the formation freely, but now he could control its opening and closing and make some minor adjustments. Immediately, Luo Hong made some adjustments so that he could set up the light rain cave bright formation in the garden and cover his courtyard. After setting up the formation, Luo Hong came to the main house of the courtyard and placed the 5 newly obtained jade slips flat on the table according to the 3 major categories of exercises. I have just established my foundation, and I actually have many things to deal with, but the fact of choosing exercises is too important. Once I choose the wrong one, it will be extremely difficult to change it, and I may not be able to enter the realm of transformation and ascend to the spirit world in this life. Therefore, if I don't decide on the exercises, I can't do anything wholeheartedly. As for how to choose exercises, Luo Hong will not follow the existing 3 major categories. He has his own set of standards. This set of standards comes from one of his small goals, that is, he wants to be a little stronger than Han Lao Mo. The goal is indeed small, but the difficulty is undoubtedly the highest ever. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96, Luo Hong's Avenue. Luo Hong had such a small goal because he wanted to be able to control his own destiny in the mortal world. As a time traveler, Luo Hong has always been a little uneasy. For those real powerful people, it is not difficult to see through his origins. If he encounters a powerful person with bad intentions, not only will he be in danger, but his hometown may even be implicated. Luo Hong does not want his hometown to become a mortal country controlled by the devil, which is a real purgatory on earth. To achieve this goal, Luo Hong must be strong enough, and Han Lao Mo is the best reference. The practice method chosen when building the foundation actually basically determines the future path of the cultivator. There are 3,000 great ways, and there are always differences in high and low. If the path chosen at the beginning is wrong, then even if you practice to the extreme later, you will still be unable to beat what you should not be able to beat. The eagle eats the rabbit, but the rabbit is powerless to resist. The way of heaven has always been unfair, and only humanity is fair. So the question is, which great way is the strongest? In Luo Hong's view, whether it is the 3 supreme laws of time, reincarnation, and space, or laws such as yin and yang, 5 element, wind, thunder, light and darkness, they are all fancy stuff. 50 heavenly evolutions, 1 escaped. Among the 3,000 great ways, Luo Hong did not find the most powerful great way in his mind, which is very likely to be the one that escaped. In the minds of many powerful people, the 3,000 great ways are the essence of the world. They practice according to the essence of the world, and naturally they can be immortal, and coexist with the great way of heaven and earth. This idea is not wrong, but Luo Hong has a different view on the essence of the world. Fortunately, in the mortal world, no one can ascend to become an immortal with a sudden enlightenment. All immortal practitioners improve their realm step by step. This proves that the mortal world is not an idealistic world that cannot be explained by science, but a materialistic world with rules to follow. The essence of a materialistic world is only matter and energy, which are actually the same thing. Matter is the concentrated embodiment of energy, and mass is the unit of quantified matter. Therefore, the great way chosen by Luo Hong is very obvious. He wants to be the fattest one. Luo Hong took the risk to participate in the blood trial, and made such a big noise, to help Li Huoyuan win the bet, just to get enough high-level skills to comprehend. That's right, Luo Hong had no intention of practicing any ready-made skills from the beginning to the end. He wanted to learn from Day and Shenzhen, and create a skill that was most suitable for his quality avenue. With a clear goal, Luo Hong began to comprehend the 5 skills given by Li Huoyuan. It was undoubtedly a wise move to learn from the wisdom of predecessors before creating his own. A month later, Luo Hong put down the 5th jade slip and rubbed his swollen temples. He was a little overwhelmed by the long-term high-intensity brain use. After closing his eyes and resting for a while, the feeling of dizziness and brain swelling was relieved a lot. So he waved his sleeves and moved all the furnishings in the main room to the wall, leaving a space several feet long and wide. Then, Luo Hong first picked up the black jade slip, and his spiritual consciousness moved. Blue spiritual light quickly poured into the main room from all directions, constructing an enlarged 3-dimensional human body in the space he had just vacated. If you look closely, you can find that the eyebrows and eyes of this 3-dimensional human body are exactly the same as Luo Hong's, but because it has no hair, it is difficult to recognize it at a glance. This magical power similar to 3-dimensional projection is a derivative application of the Weiyu Dongming formation. Relying on the blessing of the formation on the divine consciousness and the approval of the physical examination form, Luo Hong can accurately copy the meridians in his body, which is of great benefit to him in establishing his own meridian files. Previous studies have proved that the practice is the application of the meridians of the immortal cultivators. If you want to create your own practice, you must first study your own meridians. Luo Hong slightly adjusted the distribution of the blue spiritual light and constructed a meridian circuit as complex as the root system of a plant under the transparent surface of the three-dimensional human body. This is the meridian circuit of the practice recorded in the black jade slip in his hand. The black water art has 10 levels, which can allow practitioners to practice all the way to the early stage of the nascent soul. However, judging from the speed of this meridian circuit running once a day, it is difficult to practice to the stage of Dan. However, after practicing, the water magic that the practitioner can cast is highly corrosive, and even ordinary defensive magic tools can be corroded. Although the power is not as strong as that of a regular body, it is definitely much stronger than that of an ordinary cultivator. This technique is classified as the first type of technique by the master, and it really lives up to its name. Compared with the other 4 techniques, the meridian circuits of the black water art are more densely distributed between the left and right kidneys, so these meridians should have a lot to do with its unique magical powers. Luo Hong first wrote it down, and when he comprehended the silver runes in these meridians in the future, he could use the secret pattern method to verify it. The technique recorded in the white jade slip is the morning dew art. The name sounds weak, but in fact this technique is very domineering. It is exactly the kind of powerful technique that Li Huoyuan said can be used to cross the level of the enemy. A successful cultivator not only increases the power of his own spells, but can also breed a morning dew sword in his belly. This finger-thick blood-colored water sword is extremely powerful and can kill high-level enemies by surprise. However, the price is also extremely heavy, that is, every time it is used, the user's lifespan will be reduced by several years. The special feature of the morning dew meridian circuit is that it is near the heart, and the reduction in lifespan must be related to the heart. At that time, Luo Hong shook his head immediately after comprehending these 2 first-class exercises. Even if he had no special purpose, he would not choose to practice them. The former still had a slight chance of forming a pill, and the latter wished that people would die in the early stage of building a foundation. The help of these 2 exercises to Luo Hong now was only limited to establishing meridian files. With a thought, the meridian circuit in the 3-dimensional human body changed again. This time, just looking at the appearance, it was obvious that this set of meridian circuits was much simpler and there were not so many twists and turns. Moreover, after careful comparison, it can be found that most of the meridians in this set of meridian circuits are naturally connected, so the progress of cultivation is naturally very fast. This is why Li Huoyuan took out one of the second type of exercises. After all, this kind of high-level meridian circuits that are naturally mostly connected are extremely rare. Big water elemental art. Haha, this art is very famous. It is the advanced version of small water elemental art, the basic water-based art. It has a total of 13 levels, which can allow practitioners to practice all the way to the early stage of transformation. After practicing the first 3 levels, you can obtain the magical power of water element turtle breath, which can double the recovery speed of the practitioner's mana and meridian internal injuries. After practicing the middle 3 levels, you can obtain the magical power of condensed yuan pearl, which is very useful in healing and replenishing vitality. After practicing the last 3 levels, you can obtain the magical power of water element body. Its main function is to greatly enhance the various recovery abilities of the cultivator. It can be said that, as long as you are not beaten to death in one breath, you can recover as before. Moreover, it has a certain effect of prolonging life and can live 10 to 20 years longer than ordinary giant and stage cultivators. Boy, this art is jokingly called the art of getting beaten, and it's really true. Luo Hong couldn't help laughing when he read it for the second time. After noting down the extra meridians it had compared to Zhao Shuyu and Gong, his face became serious, and he took out the 2 jade slips that recorded the top level exercises. Chapter 97 Integration and Innovation. To comprehend a technique is actually to find out the meridian circuit of this technique. To practice a technique is to connect the entire meridian circuit. The layers of the technique correspond to the realm of cultivation, that is, the spiritual level. Therefore, once a cultivator forcibly practices a technique that is higher than his own spiritual level, he will inevitably suffer backlash, and damage to the meridians is only the lightest consequence. This situation often happens to cultivators in the middle stage of foundation building. In order to obtain the magical powers, after practicing the 6th level of the technique, those who can't resist the temptation will take risks, and the ending is tragic without exception. The spiritual level cannot be crossed by passion. During the 1-month comprehension time, Luo Hong spent only 10 days on the first 3 jade slips, and the rest was spent on comprehending the 2 top techniques. The meridian circuits of these 2 top techniques are complicated, and the key is that there are many extremely tiny branches in the meridian circuits. If Luo Hong does not use the blue round particles in the danshan, he cannot see the silver runes on them. These tiny branches are the reason why top techniques are difficult to practice. Compared with the numerous large meridians, the tiny branches in the human body are almost countless. When ordinary immortal cultivators find the meridians, they are very likely to find them wrong. Once they practice wrongly, the entire meridian circuit will produce a situation similar to a short circuit, causing the cultivator to go astray. The top level exercises are suitable for cultivators with specific physiques, because these cultivators are born with the corresponding meridians connected. Even the creators of those top level exercises are likely to have created the exercises based on the meridian conditions of these geniuses. So even if Luo Hong can use the silver rune to find the meridians, the progress is still very slow. But for other immortal cultivators, his speed of comprehending a top level exercise in 10 days is definitely at the level of an ancient genius. This is also the reason why Luo Hong dares to create his own exercises. When the meridian circuits of the 2 top level exercises are reproduced on the 3-dimensional human body, the difference between them and the previous 2 types of exercises can be clearly seen. Although the meridian circuit of the top level exercises is much more complicated than that of the first level exercises, it looks coordinated. Without actually running it, Luo Hong can calculate the time required for a large cycle, which is second only to the great water element exercise. After a careful comparison, you will find that the first level exercises are actually castrated versions of the top level exercises, lacking those tiny branches, thus reducing the difficulty of practice and improving safety. However, because there is no connection between the tiny branches, the entire meridian circuit runs in a circuitous manner, and it is strange that the speed can be fast. The Cloud Dragon art and the Moko magic art, the former is a water-based art, while the latter is a rare attributeless art. Let's talk about the Cloud Dragon art first. After mastering it, you can gain the magical power of driving the Cloud Dragon mist, which can confuse people's minds, and is not blocked by the spiritual shield of the cultivator's body. It is extremely difficult to guard against and extremely powerful, and this Moko magic art is a very unique art from head to toe. First of all, it is not restricted by the spiritual root attributes of the cultivator. No matter which of the 5 elements you are, you can practice it without hindrance. Secondly, it does not focus on meridians like most arts, but more on acupuncture points. This is quite interesting. Luo Hong tapped his chin with the jade slip and said thoughtfully, the so-called acupuncture points are the intersections of meridians. The intersection of the major meridians forms a major acupoint, and the intersection of the branch meridians forms a small acupoint. There are a number of major acupoints, a total of 118, and countless small acupoints, as numerous as stars. The most unique acupuncture point is the danshan, and the Moko magic skill is a unique skill that refines these acupuncture points into a peculiar skill that can store mana like the danshan. Once mastered, the practitioner's mana will be several times higher than that of the cultivators of the same level, and can use the mana stored in the acupuncture points to instantly cast high-level spells, which is very powerful in battles. It is a long and arduous task to establish a meridian archive for the whole body. Luo Hong cannot not practice before this, so the skills he created must reserve enough room for improvement. Thinking of this, Luo Hong could not help but pick up the 2 jade slips that recorded the Great Water Yuan Gong and the Moko magic skill, and gradually an idea came to his mind. The meridian circuit of the Great Water elemental art is simple and clear, and is most suitable for the foundation. It will be very convenient to improve it in the future. Since the Moko divine art is a technique that can be practiced by all attributes, it has no conflict with the meridian circuit of the pure water-based technique, and has little impact on future improvements. So as long as they are integrated, and the Moko divine art is used to make up for the weakness of the great water elemental art, I can create a new, highly malleable top-level technique. Luo Hong was excited. At this moment, the inspiration of how the new technique fits the quality avenue flashed through his mind. With a move of his spiritual consciousness, 2 3-dimensional human bodies appeared in the main room, with the meridian circuits of the great water elemental art and the Moko divine art in their bodies. Luo Hong manipulated them to slowly approach each other, and finally overlap together, to form a brand new meridian circuit. Of course, such a crude fusion method must have many problems, and the new meridian circuit is likely to cause the practitioner to go astray, but it can provide a general framework, and reduce Luo Hong's workload. What Luo Hong had to do next was to comprehend all the silver runes in the new meridian circuit, and after improvement, he would use the secret pattern method to make a jade rune for testing. Now that the plan and framework had been decided, the rest was naturally to work hard. Luo Hong, who had just finished his foundation building retreat, locked the formation again, and worked hard to lay the foundation for his immortal path. Spring went and autumn came, and a year had passed in a flash. One day, Luo Hong was practicing in the spirit gathering formation, when he suddenly received a sound transmission note from Li Huoyuan, ordering him to go to the Bibo cave. After finishing his practice and standing up, Luo Hong did not leave immediately, but went to the side room and the courtyard first. There was a golden mini house in the side room, and in the center of the house was a golden monster egg stuck by 4 spirit stones. Cultivating spirit beasts is really a matter of patience. I used 100 or so gold spirit stones to build a golden house, and used 4 mid-level gold spirit stones to form a small spirit gathering formation. I kept letting the golden light eagle's eggs absorb the pure gold spirit day and night, but it hasn't hatched for me for a year. However, judging from the progress, its spirit level should be improved again within 2 or 3 months, and then it will be equivalent to the spirit level of an 8th level cultivator. It is estimated that the young eagle should break out of the shell by then. In other words, this little guy can reach the level of a 1st level mid-level monster beast as soon as he is born. The plasticity of the golden light eagle is really amazing. You should know that some underdeveloped golden light eagles are only 1st level mid-level monster beasts until they reach adulthood. Under Luo Hong's careful cultivation, this little guy can reach the level of hundreds of years of growth of the same kind before he is born, which naturally makes Luo Hong very happy. He couldn't wait to check the body of the golden light eagle. After replacing the spirit stones in the golden house that had lost all the spirit energy, he left the courtyard and flew straight to the Bibo cave. Chapter 98 Li Huoyuan's mission. After Luo Hong arrived at the Green Wave Cave, he first greeted Li Huoyuan according to etiquette, and then he asked about his cultivation. I have decided to practice the Great Water Elemental technique, and I have already practiced the first 4 levels. I didn't expect that your heart to the Tao is so strong. I thought you would choose the first type of exercises, which is a pity. Li Huoyuan shook his head slightly, as if he was a little dissatisfied with Luo Hong's choice. Indeed, according to Luo Hong's performance in the blood trial, he was obviously a person who loved to show off, was brave and aggressive, but also knew when to advance and retreat. Such a person would naturally choose the first type of exercises because of his desire for the power of the exercises and to avoid risks. Luo Hong remained silent. He knew that, although he was Li Huoyuan's disciple, he had only been a disciple for a short time, and there was no master-disciple relationship between him and Li Huoyuan. He was just a tool. Li Huoyuan's pity was that I didn't choose the first type of exercises, so I couldn't be strengthened and promoted to the number 1 double red flower stick under his door. However, with your special body and those 2 top-level magic weapons, even if the power of the technique you practice is a little weaker, you will not be bullied by people of the same level. At this point, Li Huoyuan did not say much. Anyway, he was not without help, so he immediately pointed out the key points of Luo Hong's practice of the Great Water Elemental art. The so-called key points were nothing more than how to find the pulse, which was useless to Luo Hong. He seemed to listen carefully, but in fact he had other ideas. After nearly a year of hard work, Luo Hong successfully integrated the Great Water Elemental Art with the Moko Magic Art, and created a new top-level technique, which he named Wuliang Zhenheiju. The name Wuliang comes from the Moko Magic Art. The new technique inherits its function of opening the acupoints, and expanding the orifices. After practicing it, the acupoints around the body can be used to store magic power. Although these magic powers cannot improve the cultivation level, they can give Luo Hong a great advantage in fighting. The name Zhenhe comes from the Great Water Element technique. As a water-based technique, the best spiritual energy to be refined is naturally water spirit energy, and the road that Luo Hong wants to take is destined to require a huge amount of water spirit energy. After creating a new technique, Luo Hong spent more than 2 months to practice the first 4 levels, most of which was spent on opening up the tiny meridians in the meridian circuit. This process cannot be rushed at all, and the obstacles can only be slowly eliminated with magic power, otherwise it is very easy to damage the meridians. Of course, after practicing the first 3 levels, Luo Hong obtained a magical skill. Because of its efficacy, he named it Water Element Nourishing Acupoints. At present, since the meridian circuit that is connected only connects 12 major acupoints, only these 12 can be nurtured for the time being. The more levels of the technique that are practiced, the more major acupoints the meridian circuit will connect. When practicing to the late stage of foundation building, 36 acupoints can be connected, and when practicing to the late stage of Dan formation, all 108 acupoints can be connected. However, because he suddenly received Li Huoyuan's summons, Luo Hong had not yet actually nurtured an acupoint, so he didn't know how much mana it could store. Just as he was thinking about his own skills, Li Huoyuan finally stopped giving him instructions. "Thank you for your guidance, Master. I have benefited a lot. Disciple, you have just entered the foundation building period. I should have asked you to practice hard in the mansion for a few years to consolidate your cultivation level, but there is one thing I have to ask you to do." Li Huoyuan specifically called Luo Hong over, of course not to teach him skills, and he sighed, as if he was embarrassed. Luo Hong smiled bitterly in his heart. He knew that Li Huoyuan's initiative to find him would not be good. As Li Huoyuan said, Luo Hong's skills were at a critical moment, and it was not suitable for him to come forward to do things. But since he became Li Huoyuan's disciple, and was under his protection, Luo Hong had to accept it. No, he should take the initiative to accept it. It is a blessing for the disciple to share the worries of the master. If the master has any problems, please entrust them to the disciple. Li Huoyuan nodded slightly and stroked his white beard. He was obviously very satisfied with Luo Hong's respectful attitude. "Disciple, do you know Chiang Mountain? I have heard a little about it. Chiang Mountain is the foundation of our Li family. The Chiang stone produced here is a good material for refining fire instruments. The spiritual stones and elixirs consumed by our Li family cultivators every year come from the operation of Chiang Mountain. Master, is there something wrong with Chiang Mountain?" Luo Hong suddenly remembered the Li sisters and senior brother Yu who had not returned to Huangfeng Valley for many years. Could they be dealing with this matter? HMPH. A few years ago, Chiang Mountain was invaded by evil cultivators, who robbed a large number of the produced Chiang stones. I didn't care at first, and sent several Li family cultivators in the late key refining stage to deal with it. I never thought that the evil cultivators had the support of the foundation building cultivators. Fortunately, the other party was still cautious, and did not kill them, but only injured the Li family cultivators who designed an ambush. Then, I sent your senior brother Yukun to take charge, and then it was calm for a few years. But just half a year after your senior brother came back, the evil cultivators robbed Chiang Mountain again, which really made me very angry. Li Huoyuan's face was stern. He was already fed up with this group of evil cultivators, but the other party was slippery and relentless, and he himself was unwilling to take action for a few pieces of Chiang stone. One reason was that his spirit beast, the one-horned silver python, had just swallowed the inner elixir of the bloodline dragon, and was at a critical moment of advancement, so he couldn't get away. Second, he knew that, even if he personally took action, he would most likely end up wasting a few years in Chiang Mountain like his eldest disciple Yukun. Luo Hong also understood why Li Huoyuan said that he had to do this. Although Luo Hong was only a branch of the Li family with a different surname, he was still a member of the Li family after all, and he had already established his foundation, so the affairs of the Li family naturally had to be handled by him, a member of the Li family. However, after listening to the cause and effect described by Li Huoyuan, Luo Hong always felt that this matter was very strange, and the evil cultivators who committed the crime seemed to know every move of the Li family. Master, please forgive me for speaking frankly. There is a high possibility that there is a spy among the cultivators of our Li family. Well, you are right. Although Kuna did not say it explicitly when he came back last time, the meaning between the lines is also the same. But due to his status, it is not easy to investigate in detail. As a member of the Li family, you don't have this scruple. This time, the priority is to find out the spy and then follow the clues to wipe out this group of evil cultivators. Li Huoyuan's eyes were sharp. He practiced in the Green Wave Cave for many years and hardly asked about the affairs of the Li family. However, in recent years, there have been several times when the cultivators of the Li family have betrayed him. This not only made him feel ashamed, but also made him reflect on his strategy for developing the family. It can be predicted that when Li Huoyuan finishes his work, the Li family will usher in a huge change. Disciple obeys the master's order. Luo Hong responded with a bow. You haven't been home for many years. Although we cultivators are devoted to the path of immortality, we are not heartless and ungrateful. It is always good to see our parents more and take care of them while they are still alive. Otherwise, it will be harmful to your future practice. You can take this opportunity to go home. Your master will give you 2 bottles of elixirs that can prolong the life of mortals. Take them. Li Huoyuan suddenly sighed when talking about this, as if there was another story. Disciple thanks master on behalf of my father and mother. Thinking of the carefree childhood in the lap of his parents in his 2 lives, Luo Hong couldn't help but smile with nostalgia and thanked him sincerely at that moment. Chapter 2 was not sent out. Sorry. Chapter 99 Welcoming Ceremony. Shangyang City, located in the southeast of Taiyu Mountains, is in the heart of Yu State. It has a pleasant climate and convenient travel. It has been in rapid development for hundreds of years. After many years of absence, Luo Hong could not recognize the appearance of his hometown in this life. He only felt that this city was much larger than when he left, and there were many more mortals outside the Li family. Because even mortals in the Li family can get some blessings from the family, and their lives are not bad, so you can tell whether they are Li family members just by their clothes and complexion. Luo Hong didn't know whether these mortals outside the Li family knew about the existence of immortal cultivators. In order to avoid disturbing them, he walked into the city and walked straight to the Luo mansion in his memory. Although Luo Hong has never returned home in these years, he has never lost contact with his family. A letter from home every year is indispensable. In the first year, after taking over Fanghua Garden, he even sent back some spirit stones. It's not much, only 30 pieces, which is only equivalent to the annual income of an ordinary Huangfeng Valley key refining stage disciple. Luo Hong's grandfather and father are both immortal cultivators, but they are casual cultivators, and their cultivation is only at the middle stage of key refining, and their aptitude is also average. The only thing they can show off is the hydrangea that Luo Hong has presented to Li Huoyuan, and they never carry it with them. When the father and son passed by Shangyang City, Luo Hong's father was captured by the Li family and married to a young and beautiful mortal woman from the Li family. Because it was a marriage between an immortal cultivator and a mortal, even though the Li family was powerful, they did not ask Luo Hong's father to marry into the family, otherwise Luo Hong would have to change his name to Li Hong. As an immortal cultivator, of course he knew the value of spirit stones. Luo Hong thought that the grandfather and son would be happy and use these spirit stones to buy some spirit wine and spirit grain to drink and eat. Unexpectedly, a few days later, he received a letter from his grandfather, who not only sent all the spirit stones back, but also scolded him and warned him to practice well and improve every day. Although this warmed Luo Hong's heart, he was still a little depressed. Later, He learned his lesson and sent the spiritual grain and spiritual wine back directly and said that he was filial to his mother, and finally he didn't return it. Thinking about some interesting things with his family, Luo Hong unknowingly came to a house. Just as he was about to step into the door, he saw the two big characters Chen Mansion on the plaque above his head. Did he go to the wrong place? With the memory of a cultivator, it is impossible to remember wrongly. After a moment of hesitation, Luo Hong suddenly remembered that not long after he joined the Yellow Maple Valley, the steward of the Li family replaced the Luo family with a larger house closer to the city center. The family letter mentioned it and stated the address of the new house, but Luo Hong did not leave immediately. Because he had been building his foundation for a year, it was impossible for the Li family not to receive the news. At this rate, Grandpa and his family must have moved again. Luo Hong was ordered to do it temporarily this time, so he did not contact his family in advance. As a result, he didn't even know where his own door was. Of course, he could find out by just asking a Li family cultivator, but this seemed a bit embarrassing. While hesitating, Luo Hong heard the joy of gongs and drums coming from the street. With a scan of his spiritual sense, he saw that someone was marrying off their daughter. The young lady of the Luo family is getting married. Everyone hurry up and get some of the joy. Someone in the crowd shouted. The young lady of the Luo family? It can't be such a coincidence, right? Luo Hong was surprised and didn't hesitate. His spiritual sense went straight through the sedan chair and caught the bride who was secretly eating snacks. It's her. Seeing the familiar face, Luo Hong couldn't help but smile. Luo Wang was the youngest daughter of his second uncle's family and one of the few relatives of the same generation that Luo Hong was familiar with. Since Luo Hong was the only one in his generation with spiritual roots, he was given special care by his grandfather since he was a child. When he was a little older, he was arranged to meditate and practice all day, so naturally he was not familiar with most people in the family. Luo Hong only had a special impression of Luo Wang because she was responsible for delivering meals to him. During the period when he first started fasting, Luo Hong always thought of the egg yolk pastry she made. Since it's such a coincidence, let's go and have a drink. Grandpa and his family must be at the wedding. However, before Luo Hong's consciousness could withdraw, Luo Wang, who was eating snacks, suddenly covered her mouth and sobbed, as if she had suffered a great injustice. Luo Hong frowned, and first swept his consciousness over the groom riding a tall horse, and found that he was not only handsome, but also had a clear vision, and did not look like a cunning person. Except for Li Huoyuan, no one in the Li family had a cultivation level higher than the foundation building stage, so the Li family would only win over Luo Hong's family, and there would be no suppression. After a wave of analysis, Luo Hong closed his eyes and spread his consciousness, sweeping across the crowd of onlookers piece by piece, and soon found that at the entrance of an alley, there was a person with a different expression on his face from everyone else. Not only did he smile sinisterly, but he was also a cultivator in the late stage of key refining. As if confirming the result, the man turned around and walked deep into the alley. From the beginning, Luo Hong felt that the turmoil in Chiang Mountain would not be so simple, but he did not expect that the other party would act so quickly and attack his family before he arrived. Luo Hong did not know what means the other party used, so he shook his sleeves and released a yellow bat to follow the wedding procession. He locked onto the suspicious cultivator and followed him. The yellow-winged bird landed on the top of the sedan chair, which surprised the accompanying maid and she cheered. Miss, the magpie has come to congratulate you. Obviously, she had never seen a magpie, but was just yelling foolishly. After hearing this, Luo Wang in the sedan chair stopped sobbing immediately, and the corners of her mouth curved into a big arc under her red veil. Luo Hong had just been tracking for a while when the suspicious cultivator passed through a secret door and entered the tunnel. Luo Hong used his spiritual sense to explore, but found it very strenuous, but fortunately, his spiritual sense doubled after he established his foundation. After working harder, he successfully let his spiritual sense penetrate into the tunnel and locked onto the suspicious cultivator again. So, the suspicious monk moved in the tunnel, and Luo Hong followed him on the ground, which was even easier than the initial tracking. In the tunnel, the suspicious monk moved very fast, and after half an hour, He arrived at the outer city of Shangyang City, which was newly built in recent years. The suspicious monk got out of the tunnel and walked into an ordinary residential house. "Junior brother, how is the matter going?" A big man with a face full of flesh came out of the residential house and asked anxiously. "Everything is ready. We just need to wait until tonight is over to make Li and Luo alienated." The suspicious monk smiled sinisterly, with a look of success on his face. "Very good. I have also arranged the adulterer here, and we just need to wait and see what happens next." The big man with flesh picked up the wine bowl and took a big sip, looking quite excited. One smile of spell is cast, the woman will be unable to restrain her emotions, as long as she is slightly provoked. Afterwards, she will definitely regret and die. When the groom enters the bridal chamber, he will only see a female corpse that has been hanged from the beam, and the adulterer of the Li family is lying on the bed. It's really a good show. But brother, are you sure there is no problem with your adulterer? The suspicious monk asked worriedly, after he finished appreciating himself. Of course it is foolproof. Not only did I choose the groom's brother who has spiritual roots, I also went to confirm the spell in person just now. The big man with thick flesh glared, as if he was very dissatisfied with his junior brother's doubts. It's hard for senior brother to be so meticulous. Come, junior brother, let me toast you a glass. The matter that the young master personally instructed, even if I have 18 courage, I dare not fool it. Come, drink it. I hope that Senior Luo Hong will like the welcoming gift from our brothers. Chapter 100, Traces of the Demonic Path. Outside the residence, Luo Hong had a gloomy face and was filled with murderous intent, but after thinking it over, he only scattered a few green beans and then retreated quietly. The ability of this group of evil cultivators far exceeded Luo Hong's expectations. He originally thought that someone in the Li family had acted as a spy for his own selfish desires, but he didn't expect that the other party even knew roughly when he left the Yellow Maple Valley. If Luo Hong hadn't been homesick and escaped a little faster, he would have been too late to come back and prevent the tragedy. With such intelligence capabilities, the other party must be very powerful and could not be just evil cultivators. Such a sinister style of behavior doesn't seem to be the work of the other 6 sects of U State, and I seem to have some impression of this love spell. Oh, yes, I glanced at it before when I was looking up the classics of the 6 sects of the magic path. It seems that it is a spell that the magic monks cast on the victim before refining the resentful soul, which can enhance the resentment of the resentful soul. Luo Hong's heart trembled. This matter was beyond his ability. He immediately wanted to turn back, kill the 2 magic monks, extract their souls, and return to Li Huoyuan to decide. But after thinking carefully, Luo Hong realized that, even if he produced evidence that the magic monks planned the Chiang Mountain robbery in order to catch the person behind the scenes, he would most likely be sent to Chiang Mountain to take charge. Of course, there would be monks from Huangfeng Valley waiting in secret, but he would undoubtedly become a bait and be in an extremely dangerous situation, especially after he killed the 2 magic monks and alerted the snake first. On the contrary, he pretended to be ignorant and fooled around in Chiang Mountain for a few years, then he could safely resign like Yu Kun. In the original timeline, until the Emperor of Yu was exposed, none of Li Huoyuan's disciples died. This shows that, as long as you pretend to be deaf and dumb, the probability of nothing happening will be extremely high. However, Luo Hong is not a person who can live in a daze when he knows that there is danger. He can sit back and watch the real plan of the Demon Dao succeed, but he must clarify some things on the premise of ensuring his own safety, otherwise it is not a good thing to be worried all day long. After making up his mind, Luo Hong went out of the city directly. When he turned to the city gate where he entered the city, the Imperial device soared into the air, flew into the city without concealment, and released his spiritual consciousness wantonly, pretending to find the way. Soon, a cultivator from the Li family came up and led him to Luo Hong's worship hall. Needless to say, Luo Hong naturally accidentally discovered Luo Hong's abnormality and helped her to break the spell. The affection curse is a low-level spell that can only be used on mortals and key-refining cultivators who have no power to resist. Luo Hong, a foundation-building cultivator, must be able to easily decipher it. Luo Hong's husband's family is also a powerful branch of the Li family, otherwise it would not be their turn to establish a relationship with Luo Hong. So after the incident, they immediately arranged for a thorough investigation. There was a lot of noise, but Luo Hong knew that there would be no results. But the other party's actions can also prove that this family has no relationship with the devil. Although the marriage was interrupted because Luo Hong was hurt by the affection curse, Luo Hong's eyes indicated that his grandfather would decide to rehold it soon, so it was not a failure. The result of the thorough investigation was as Luo Hong expected. The Li family only found the groom's younger brother who was cast with a heart control curse. That night, Luo Hong stepped into the new and more magnificent Luo mansion. Without even a sip of tea, he was taken to the secret room in the mansion by his grandfather. "Hongja, did you offend someone outside?" The old man is still the most experienced. Grandpa Luo Hong immediately saw that today's trouble was caused by Luo Hong. The matter of the devil's way is of great importance, so Luo Hong naturally would not tell the truth to his grandfather, who is now more like a mortal than a cultivator. So he said half truthfully, "Master sent me to sit in Chiang Mountain. Today's incident must be a warning to me by those evil cultivators who robbed the Chiang stone. Grandpa, don't worry, your grandson will definitely pacify this group of evil cultivators as soon as possible." Grandpa's expression was quite complicated, and then he said with great emotion, "Hey, there are no evil cultivators, they are just some casual cultivators who can't make a living. These people are all desperate criminals. Although Hongja has become a foundation building cultivator, don't show off your abilities. If you force them into a corner, these people will not care whether you have a backer or not. After all, for these people, living one more day is a profit. Remember, the mineral vein belongs to the Li family, but your life is your own. Grandson will follow your teachings. In fact, even if your grandson wants to show off his strength, he will have nowhere to go. That group of evil cultivators will most likely shrink, like they did when senior brother Yu was here." The old man really always put his safety first, so Luo Hong naturally wanted to reassure him. "I hope so. It's not easy for you to come back, Hongja. Go see your parents." Grandpa Luo Hong was actually still very worried, and he forced a smile. "Grandpa, here is a bottle of elixir that can prolong your life. It was given by my grandson's master. You must accept it. You don't have to worry about my father." They also have one. Key refining cultivators, especially those before the late key refining stage, have magic power in their bodies, but it is really weak. The difference in physical lifespan is not much between them and mortals, so this elixir can be very useful for Grandpa Luo Hong to take. After coming out of the secret room, Luo Hong went straight to the yard of the two elders. Because he inherited all the memories of the original owner, when he traveled through time, Luo Hong also had feelings for the original owner's parents. But after all, they were not the same person, so he had more respect and less admiration in his daily interactions. The two elders didn't take it to heart, just thinking that Luo Hong had grown up and was sensible. It was not surprising that cultivators were precocious. Luo Hong's father was a scholar before he was caught as a son-in-law. He also took the imperial examination of youth state. Unfortunately, he was not that kind of material. Otherwise, with the memory and intelligence of the immortal cultivator, it would be difficult to get the top prize, but it would be no problem to get the Jinshi. Compared with being an official, he actually has better qualifications for immortal cultivation. The second grade spiritual route is extremely rare among casual cultivators. If he had not been delayed when he was young, and he himself had no intention of practicing, his cultivation would not have stagnated at the 8th level of key refining. Everyone has his own pursuits. It is not necessary to become an immortal to enjoy great freedom. Spending the rest of your life with your lover may be more attractive to some people than becoming an immortal. Otherwise, how can there be a saying that only envy Mandarin ducks and not immortals? Luo Hong's mother is a lady cultivated by the Li family. According to his grandfather, not long after the marriage, Luo Hong's father, who was originally a little reluctant, was fascinated by her and smiled foolishly all day long. They say that sons take after their mothers, but I look like my father. Luo Hong laughed at himself and pushed open the door. When his mother saw that it was a Luo Hong, she immediately came up to him with great joy and touched his face and body. You are much stronger than before you left home. Did you meet the girl you like in Huangfeng Valley? Luo Hong. I have written 100 chapters without realizing it. Congratulations on the completion. That is impossible. The editor arranged for me to put it on the shelves on the 18th, so brothers all understand. Please give me a first order of 10 cents. This is very important to me. I will explain how to update after the shelves are put on the shelves in the comments. Generally speaking, it is 8,000 per day. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.